Welcome, newcomers and true believers alike. This is the Count Down to Doomsday, an MCU watch along podcast packed to the brim with thrills and chills, twists and turns, and more supervillains than you can shake a pair of miracle twins at. I'm your host, Jake, and as always, I'm joined by my co host, the one who is worthy, Sammy.
Hi everyone. I'm worthy now. My God, the names just keep piling up.
Yeah,
Of
you could have lifted that hammer at the party for
course I
sure.
could. Of course I
Easy.
could. Because I am worthy.
But if it's in an elevator though, does that count?
Um, I'm not even going to try and figure that one out.
No, I couldn't either. And I think
No.
that's why they drop it. But we made it to the second Avengers movie. We're flying through it.
It doesn't feel like 2 minutes ago that we're at the first one.
I know there's not that when you think about it, there's not that much of a gap between these.
Mm,
But then we've got like a slightly bigger gap between Infinity War and then we have to wait for
mm.
Endgame. So that feels longer because I guess it's like we're waiting for like the closure. But yeah, um, Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron. Well, I'll do the disclaimer and
Yes, we're
I'll
gonna need
get
it.
feel like we're gonna get on into this one. So everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on our new socials. Come and join us on the Facebook group or the Discord where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. Because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of nerdism.
Excelsior. Yeah, that's a thing. We've got some new stuff flying around the internet. We got a audio podcast feed,
Yes.
which will be catching up to us as the weeks go by. But we're not going to drop it all
In one
immediately.
go.
But podcast people, if they're just listening there, they won't even know about this until they get to this
Exactly.
episode. Time travel. But yeah, we also Sammy graciously set up some new socials just for this podcast. Like we've got a TikTok and an Instagram, so please give those a little
Come and
click.
follow us. It's just that if we, if we're on YouTube, we could kind of blend into Nerdy Up North because we like,
Yeah,
but now we're officially a podcast.
yeah.
I felt we need our own space.
Yeah, and if anyone needs to talk to us specifically about this, I guess it doesn't feel weird messaging a sort of off like a different named
Exactly.
channel.
You're
So
coming
yeah,
directly to the two. So
yeah.
it made sense. It did to me when I was really bored on Friday and had nothing else left to do.
Yeah, and I've been preparing the audio casts to go out,
Yay.
diligently working away in the background.
We're
But
always hard at work.
yeah, all exciting stuff.
Yeah. But
I can't think if there was anything else housekeeping wise.
No.
Nope, other
Apart-
than Nerdy Up North rules and everyone's having lots of fun making cool videos.
yeah, exactly. Um, so I do have some production notes on this. Now you'll have to bear with us because usually, as you may notice, I am not in my usual spot.
Is it a different place?
I'm in a different place. So I have to find my notes very slowly. So I do apologize.
Actually, I
So
had I had one note. Sorry to interrupt you,
yeah, go
but
on.
Paul, don't pick the same background as my background like you did with the Guardians episode.
Oh, really? I didn't
I'm
even
watching you.
notice. I
uh,
didn't I didn't even notice.
I'm on to you. But also, thank you so much for doing the layouts. We love you.
Honestly, in joking aside, the layouts for this and the intro videos have been absolutely spectacular. They
Yeah,
they are phenomenal.
they look like Marvel Studios
We
quality.
look professional. So the development of Age of Ultron starts in 2012,
Mhm.
where once again at San Diego Comic Con, it's announced that we're going to be diving into Ultron, and I don't think a lot of people were too excited.
Yeah, at the time, Ultron fans were excited, but then I don't think they were excited anymore once the movie came out.
No. Um, it was announced that Joss Whedon, would be coming back to write and direct this one.
Yeah,
Joss had a few ideas. he outlined in March 2013. He outlined the whole film as in it was going to be like Empire Strikes Back, The Godfather Part Two, were his like inspirations for the movie. Now there is some major changes from original startup to where we land. The first one being, which Jake will probably kill me for pointing out so early in the game, but there was meant to be an introductory character in this.
Oh yes.
And it was going to be Captain Marvel. She was
Yes.
she was originally drafted to come in this movie. How? I don't know. Why? I really don't know. But that's where Joss wanted to go originally.
Yeah, because like there's some talk around the internet of like, oh, she was edited out of the final scene and replaced with sort of like the moved Scarlet Witch around to cover up her character model and things like that. But so that's kind of weird. And when you think about the final scene, it is kind of weird visually. But yeah,
Well, it
we'll
is now
get
since
there.
someone pointed it out.
Sorry.
um, Actually, it does say Whedon went so far as to shoot visual effects plates for Captain Marvel to fly into the Avengers headquarters at the end.
Yeah.
So what you read is true because it wasn't
Yeah.
her. It was the plate was replaced with Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can watch like the OG footage. I couldn't see anything online.
No, I've never. That honestly, up until today, that was the first time I'd heard it.
Yes, but I do believe that Joss Whedon, after first Avengers, probably thought he could do whatever he wanted, because there was also some talks of Spider-Man cropping up, which
There's
is
a few.
insane.
There's a talks of. Well, that's so weird because I remember I'm in Marvel era now in
Yeah, this is
2015.
and this
Yeah,
is like the point when there was like the news, the 24-hour news cycle all about
and
comic movies.
I work for a comic based website. I did the news for the comic
Yeah,
based website, so I was constantly on it and
yeah.
having to know what was going on. And this is my first Marvel movie at the cinema.
Oh wow, so you can actually remember
I do. I remember
being
it
all
so well.
excited to go.
I was so excited. My husband hates going to the cinema, but he does it when I have no one else to go with and I've like banged on about it because for him it's probably easier to just get on with it so she doesn't have to keep going on about it. Let's just get it over with.
I've
But
seen
I've
her
got
walking around sadly on release day, like
yeah,
around the house.
yeah. Now like 2025, Sam, I will go to the cinema by myself and think nothing of it. Like I don't care
Yeah.
if I
Oh,
want
we
to
go
see
as
something.
as the Doomsday crew now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this was my first outing as a Marvel movie. I got a tin popcorn cup and cups and
Yeah.
I went all out, but it was fantastic. I totally forgot the point I was making now of like getting so
And
excited.
no, we're
Oh, the
just talking
news
about
feeds.
how you were working on the news
Yeah.
feed at the time. Yeah.
So this image came in. Now we all worked in a close net ring. So if something came
Yeah.
in, it was a case of here it is. Now go and find out if it's real.
Yeah.
And this picture come in and it was now I know what it is now because I've watched the behind the scenes of this movie. It's
Hmm.
the filming in Italy and it's
Yes.
Sokovia and it's Pietro,
Yep.
it's Captain America, and it's somebody in the middle of them with a hood over, and all you can see is red underneath the hood. Well,
All
the
right. Okay.
rumor mill started that it was Spider-Man, and they really have brought him into it, and we had to like debunk it really quickly because there was nothing confirming it. Because it wasn't like today, whereas you get these set pictures, and it's it's all ruined. This is all like under lock and key kind of thing back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I remember the rumor mill on Spider-Man very well. But Feige also revealed that in the early draft of the script, the Hulk's Quinjet was detected near Saturn at the end of the film, but it was finally decided to keep it Earth-based and leave his fate ambiguous because the rumors were starting and the development was starting for Planet Hulk.
Yeah, but that's really silly that he just flew the jet into space.
Yeah, but
because they've never said that those things can fly outside the atmosphere before.
no, no, not at all. You'd have to have a bit of a backstory there, but in obviously we know now that didn't happen. That's not
Not
happening,
quite.
and the
Yeah.
Planet Hulk story kind of tinsy bit goes into Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we know that. There was another character who it was actually the actor
Mhm.
who actually championed for it. It was Hugh Jackman wanted Wolverine to
Okay.
appear in Age of Ultron. How that fits in, I don't know, but you've got to think
Yeah.
about he's just asking a question: can
Yeah.
Wolverine fit into this world? And
Because I guess they were doing like Future Past around this time and stuff, weren't they? Or
mm,
like I can't remember the year that came out exactly, but um yeah, from what I've heard, Hugh Jackman was kind of one of the ones who, when they were trying to shop around Deadpool 3, and they were like, oh, they were like scared to ask him, but he's actually the kind of guy where he's like, no, I want to do the movies, I want to do like the silly, like I want to be Wolverine.
yeah,
So like I can definitely see him kind of giving a call around the time, being like, can I get in on this? And then like,
yeah. He just, I don't know if it's a case of he asked the question or he just made comment on, I really
yeah.
want to see Wolverine kick the shit out of Iron Man. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Obviously, it's very it'll be a lot of hearsay and
Yeah.
whatnot. But
I think
yeah,
like actually, you know what, them on like Robert Downey Jr. and Hugh Jackman in character would be pretty fun to watch on screen.
do you know how we've talked about RDJ? Do you know how we've talked about the psychology of Tony Stark from the very start?
Yes,
Like we've really looked into this man deeply. Oh, I don't know how I feel about Tony Stark here.
they
He
threw it
is
all out the window.
he is such a contradictory. Like, oh, and I know we'll get into it, but I just had to get that out of my head because I was
Yeah.
like,
No,
don't
no,
get us wrong, I actually liked it in a way, but then I
yeah,
was
like
like,
it does come
he
up straight away because like that's one of my first few notes. Iron Man is back with no mention of the end of Iron Man 3. Like there's no reflection
no,
on should I be Iron Man? Like who am I? Am I
who am I?
Tony?
He's never, yeah. The question's gone because he is part of the Avengers. I
Is
said
his
this to
mental
Jake.
health is gone? His
Yeah,
mental
that's
health
all
problems
gone.
are
And
gone.
the Iron Patriot's still about, so he didn't really get rid of all of his suits, did he? Because they're still there. Yeah, he's just a walking, talking contradiction. Or they just don't know. They don't know where to take Tony because Tony's always he's always going to be the one who causes not causes the issues, but fights the issues. So if
Yes.
Civil War, we're on Cap's side,
Yeah, yeah.
like what Cap is saying is right, but then you've got Tony who is like the opponent, like the opposite of that. And it's like he's just always going to be there, isn't he?
Yeah, but like I feel I kind of, I'm not gonna give sympathy to John Favreau very often, but I
Mm,
kind of feel for him because of how much he loves the Iron Man character and how much like authentic like comic lore he put in those movies.
yeah,
Um and then for them to kind of just pretend it didn't happen, like pretend only Iron Man and Avengers were the only movies he was involved in. I feel kind of bad for Favreau, but then he's got loads of money, so I don't feel
yeah.
that bad.
But is it a case? Is it a case because we are kind of like it's not really figured out, is it? They've only just
No,
starting to get the origin back, like as I call it, the blueprint down a little bit.
yeah,
Which obviously filters into the likes of Ant-Man and Doctor Strange because they are just mirror images of Iron Man.
yeah, but
Are
you'll
they? Are
notice.
we?
Sorry, yeah, I was
No,
just gonna say you'll notice after this though, Kevin takes the reins a lot harder
yeah.
than around this time. And I do remember hearing stories of like, oh, the director for this didn't even watch the movie previous, and they just direct like the end credit scene or something, and then make their own movie. And like in a way, yes, like it would be kind of annoying to be like, oh, okay, so this guy I've never met before
Mm,
directed a movie. Now I've got to technically do the sequel. Um, but I feel like when you're getting paid this much money to work for Disney and Marvel Studios, like you kind of should be doing your homework and trying.
You know, like the Russo brothers do and did.
Yeah,
Let's remember where the Russo brothers came from. They're not
yeah,
movie makers. They were TV makers and they were given the opportunity of a lifetime. And look what they did. It was Winter
yeah.
Soldier.
And it's like obviously it's not all about like, oh, you should be doing the best thing like for the fans. They're always right. Like it's
No,
not that, but it's like
no.
and yeah, people are gonna want to be like, this is my I'm making a movie, but also like you're getting hired by the biggest company in the world to make like a blockbuster. You're not gonna get like Oscars for this. Like it's kind of a different job than being a
This
movie
is
maker.
this is just about good storytelling. The best
Making
part,
children happy,
yeah,
like
and
that kind of thing.
the best part about comic book movies is exactly the same as comic books. They change all the
Yeah.
time. So it doesn't matter if you go you like the likes of Civil War.
Mhm.
Okay, it's not a complete representation of the comic book, but it doesn't matter. It still has the same themes. It has the Easter eggs. It has, some really good parts in it. As long as you are telling a good story
Mhm.
and maybe drop 1% of fan service in there,
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm a
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
bunny.
Yeah, that's the thing, but like but just the shouldn't really be like crapping on anyone's movie before. Like
No.
if you're bringing a character in, you're using that character, you should kind of take a look at what people artistically were trying to do with them before
Uh-huh.
and at
And
least like honor that a bit.
have a bit of respect. These
They even just deleted Pepper and Jane and were like, oh, we'll mention them at the party, but we're not going to
Yeah,
have them in the movie. It's like, why
exactly.
not? Like,
Exactly. This there's so many there's so many things wrong with this movie,
yeah,
but there is some things for me personally that are brilliant.
yeah,
And I feel like we should get into the movie so we can
we can.
figure it all out.
Because yeah,
Because
we open with some action, which you texted me today and said was one of your favorite Avengers moments.
one of my favorite openings of
Yeah,
all, because it's the Avengers doing Avenging. They're actually a team, they're working. It's the original team, the original lineup.
yeah.
They've got chemistry, they've got camaraderie, they've got inside jokes. Oh, it's just that teamwork. Go team.
You're right.
Um,
There's no side characters. I'm just thinking now, like there's no like Fury behind them. It's like just
no,
them on the comms doing everything.
yeah,
Figuring the way through.
exactly.
And what they are doing is looking for the scepter still. And
Mm-hmm.
we've landed at Baron von Strucker's castle,
That
who's
freaking
another
walkie-talkie
famous
stick.
Marvel. Yeah, he's another famous Marvel Nazi.
Do you know when there was certain, because I was watching it at work, and there was certain times I couldn't look at the screen, and I swear it sounded like Ralph Fiennes
Yeah, I
from
could see it.
Schindler's List was on the telly. I was like, oh, had to keep like I know he's not there, but it sounded
Yeah,
so much like him.
I could see them asking him to play a baddie in Marvel for sure. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, so we don't get a lot on Strucker really in this movie. As far as I'm aware from like actual comic books, like I say, he's one of the Hydra Nazis and stuff.
yeah.
He has some kind of virus thing in Marvel that makes him not age, and he gets like superpowers, and he's just a regular guy in this. Um,
Yeah,
but
and
yeah,
he's whatever he's doing, because the scepter kind of is a secondary thing. The Loki
yeah,
Pokey stick is a secondary in comparison to the what's the word I'm looking for? The testing that they're doing on enhanced people.
yeah.
Because we
It's kind of
can't
like
call them mutants.
no. And I guess like by definition, they're kind of not in this world
Well,
because yeah,
isn't don't you're not born you you're not technically born a mutant, are you? You're mutant. The mutants in you kind of develops, doesn't it? It like is something that like just can come out of
oh
nowhere, come out of like trauma, come out of like just
yeah, that there usually is like an awakening, isn't there, of the X
yeah.
gene? Um, yeah, or it's a mutation. So yeah, it could yeah. I'm not sure exactly how, but I know that the way they talk about it in this is that Strucker was doing human experimentation with
Hmm.
whatever stuff you could get from the alien stuff and the Infinity Stone. And these two are the only ones that survived the experiments, because like later on there's a part where like Ultron's like, I didn't understand how you survived the experiments,
Mm.
but now I do.
I
um
understand how she survived. I will never understand how he survived.
yeah, because like and it's interesting now that we've got WandaVision, because we've seen this play out in a different way where she already had powers
Yeah.
at the time of the bomb stuff. um but yeah, we'll get into it as it goes on, but I feel like they're just making up Scarlet Witch's powers as they go along in
But
this movie.
this is the point I was making earlier. I just feel like they're still kind of, even though we're like so many movies in, we're still just figuring this shit out.
Yeah.
And also, you're dealing with somebody who thinks he knows the everything. Like he's a fucking know-it-all. So it's probably hard work. Like just I could just hear him just nerding out and gobbing off, and he knows
Yeah.
best. And
But
sorry,
like, I guess like we're burying the lead on Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, but like this is supposed to be Magneto's children, like in a roundabout way. They have different names and stuff because all the Marvel villains never marry their spouses; they just have like illegitimate
yeah,
children that turn out to be other bad guys.
yeah.
Um,
In all honesty, I didn't know about the Scarlet Witch. And obviously until this movie, and then I started Doctor Strange. I'm a huge Doctor
yeah,
Strange fan, like comic book fan.
yeah,
And he's a very hard one to have his own series. So if you want any Strange, you kind of
yeah.
like you grasping at straws, really. But I'd read all of the original, like the gosh, I can never remember if it's the Golden Age or Silver Age of Strange. You know, the ones with
Mm.
all the psychedelic, like
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and then all of a sudden in 2016, he got his own series, and
Yeah.
one of his drinking buddies at his bar that he went to was a Scarlet Witch, and
Yeah. And like I've read some original X-Men, like, and she shows up in about issue 3 or 4. So like she's an OG like X
yeah,
person, member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, but they're kind of at odds with Magneto. Like they don't really trust him. They're like, are we really on the right side here? Like that's the sort of that's how the start, and like Toad's like creeping on her, and I think there's some like Dimension Man or something
yeah,
that's also creeping her out.
she's also in I think it's probably one of the most, apart from Beta Ray Bill, one of the most recent series I've read in full. With I
Yeah.
think it was called The Death of Magneto, or
Right.
Death
Yeah.
to Magneto, or Death of Magneto, because obviously she's in that. It was in the artwork, and that's incredible. I will have to
Yeah.
find it, and because it was absolutely incredible. And I
But yeah.
feel
So
like
like,
now I'm making it up my own head that it exists.
no, no, I'm sure it does. But yeah. So like, her powers in the comics, so like she can, she's like a reality changer, like but also like they kind of explain it as like probability. Like
Yeah,
there's the probability in the world that anything could happen. Like you could explode in 2 seconds time. There is a technical chance that could happen, but
yeah.
what she can do is change the probability to be like, oh, it's 100% gonna happen and stuff
Yeah,
like
she's
that.
well, but you see that a lot in Wonder. Like you see her full, not her
Yeah.
full extent, but the extent of what she can do in Wonder Vision, because she
Yeah.
completely manufactures a whole family, and
Yeah.
she wields two of them into actual existence.
Yeah. So, but in this, she's more like a telekinesis and like telepathy user. So she's kind of
Yeah,
like Jean Grey, I guess.
it's like amalgamated two characters and
Yeah.
called her the Scarlet Witch. She's not fully fledged out. She's not fully figured out.
They don't talk about magic at all, apart from her hand movements, because in the comics, it's kind of magic. It's like,
Yeah,
yes, she's a mutant, but it's also magical based. But yeah, in comics, she's famous for deleting all of the mutants,
she did.
apart from like a select few, by
No
just
more
say,
mutants,
but just saying no more mutants, yes, and no more were ever born. But it's been retconned now. But
as it
um,
does in
yeah.
everything, which is
Well, yeah, because that's a really bad thing to do for the future writers of X-Men comics
it
when you
was
think
but it
about it.
was such a moment though. Like
Oh yeah, the panels are iconic.
I remember asking Ant about it when it came out, and he was
Yeah,
like, it was massive. Like
yeah,
everything. He put it down to how I felt with the whole Jane Foster
Yeah,
being Lady Thor. Like
yeah,
he says that's like monumental wise, that's how it felt for me.
absolutely. Like it was in that panel where she's like got a tear down her face, just no more mutants, white background, nothing else
Wonder.
on it. But yeah, Quicksilver is a fan favorite for sure. He's not like massively important in Marvel comics, like not nowhere near a Scarlet Witch or anything,
No, no, he's
but
not.
he's
He's definitely
fun.
not. He is
Yeah,
fun, but this version of Quicksilver is not fun.
no,
Um, I can understand why we got the Quicksilver we did in WandaVision.
yeah,
Um, because he's fun. He's got likability about, and don't get us wrong, I don't mind Aaron Taylor Johnson.
yeah,
Kind of feel really sorry for the kid, but in his personal life, but outside of that, he was cocky, but he was really crap at being cocky.
yeah. And it's like he's very slow for a speed character as well.
Well,
Like I know it's hard to do on screen, but
it's
yeah,
they experimented. So there
yeah,
is a reason behind this, and I did look into this because when you messaged us saying like he is a slow speedster, and I was like, yeah, he is. They wanted to, they didn't want to do your typical and gone.
yeah,
So what they wanted to do was use the environment, use what was around them, use the fact and like have this flowing method, make it more elegant, make it more
hmm,
because you had Scarlet Witch doing these amazing like dance movements with her hands and
yeah,
her body completely transformed. Like when she was doing her magic or what should be magic,
mhm.
her whole body was being put into it, so it was like a dance. Whereas he didn't have really anything other than so they
Yeah,
added that element, which obviously made him look a lot slower than what he actually probably was. But it was just
yeah.
something they wanted to do different. This is all Joss Whedon, by the way. This is what he wanted.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, when X-Men did it, they just did
Mhm.
it 10 times better. Like
Yeah,
that scene is iconic where like the entire room like freezes and it's
yeah,
just him like running around. Like they managed to get the speed working like so it is possible. I think you just got to have some like artistic sort of vision around
yeah.
it.
Well, it was Industrial Light and Magic who developed new motion capture for this film
Mhm.
called The Muse,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
capture actual spatial and body movements. So I have a feeling that that's what they may have used for. I imagine there's a lot of new stuff gone into this.
Yeah.
As we find out later on, Andy Serkis is in this movie, but it's
Oh yeah.
I think the reason Andy Serkis is there for, obviously playing an amazing Ursula Claw. Love him. Can't
He's
believe
really
we didn't get
good.
enough screen time with him. Can't believe he's no longer in the MCU. But
Uh-huh.
obviously he is the stop motion king. Like he is the
Yes.
king of and he's made it possible for actors to act and be these unbelievable creations that you see as the likes of Ultron and the likes of the Hulk, but it's the actor behind them, and he is part of that that development. So to
Yeah.
have him on this and working with them, this is why I believe I like that Hulk looks better and that
Oh yeah.
Ultron is just is unreal. Whatever you want to think about the character, the design work, the you can see every nook and cranny of every little bit of his like mechanical and the
Yeah.
fact that it's James Spader. Spader is it Spader?
Yeah, yeah.
Spader, James
Spade.
Spader behind. I can never remember if it's Spade or Spader.
No,
Um,
David Spade, someone
David
else.
Spade. Yeah, yeah, that's how I should remember.
Yeah.
But to have him behind it's his. It's like it's his eye movement. It's his whatever expression you can see if he has one on Ultron's face. That's all him, and it's the
Yeah.
same with Ruffalo with the Hulk as well.
Oh, there's like yeah, there's like a heartbreaking moment with the Hulk like later on, and it's all because of that
Yeah,
facial acting because it's not full. It's not just someone making a model.
but it's
um,
also Lou Ferrigno behind the voice again. Get it,
yeah, doing the roars, the
love
very
him.
scary roars. But yeah, so I we'll get into a bit of the timeline because this has got one of the best Avengers jokes. Which is when Iron Man's like shit, and then Steve's like
Language.
language. He does it so quick afterwards.
But this is what I was talking about, like the camaraderie, like the inside jokes,
Yeah,
like the fact that they all rip on Cap. Like
yeah,
I love superheroes, I really do, but I really have a soft spot for the human moments that they have, and
yeah.
this movie has it in abundance.
Because he says like it just slipped out, like he didn't mean to like
He's
say
and later on he's like, "No, I'm never going to hear the end of this." Like,
it.
yeah, these are my favorite moments, and like I say, this movie has it like all the way through. Is
Yep.
a lot more human moments in here.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of cool action as well, though. There were like some points that look a bit like weightless and like a bit too heavy on the CGI, like Thor kind of like punches a few guys and it's not very like impactful.
Mm.
Um, but then round the corner, like Cap does that thing where he flips over his handlebars and just throws the bike into a Jeep, and I'm like, hell yeah,
Yes,
that looks so cool.
I also I appreciate this movie as well for its still shots,
Yeah,
especially there's one at the front, there's one at the beginning, there's one at the end, and when they are all jumping in unison and
yeah.
you see all of them and it's the original. Oh, I just
It's
love it.
nice. It is nice to see the characters because sometimes action films mess that part up where you're like, well, I can't really see what's happening, but it's
Yeah,
probably pretty
but it
cool.
it also makes us think like they're a team, and
Yeah.
have they, before this, have they been on other missions together? Because
Yeah.
there's just something, there's some magic, there's some magic chemistry between them all in this moment, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, what have we missed? Like, what else have they been doing?
Yeah, because and we kind of know this is the last one because they're like, oh, there's kind of this air of like, it's our last team up together because we found the scepter.
They found what they were looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, so like they do get inside the building pretty easy. There's like a quick little like, is this like the generator or something? And then they just like Tony blows it up and the shield comes down so they can all get inside the super lab. I do enjoy Strucker being like men, we will fight the Avengers and the crazy people, and then he turns around and he's like, I'm gonna surrender. Like
Yeah, he's
maybe I'll
like,
get
we
a
will never
deal.
surrender, never die.
Yeah.
I'm going to surrender. I love that. I, I think originally I thought it was said too quickly afterwards, like there should have been a longer pause,
Yeah.
but it didn't bother us this time
Yeah,
around.
he's kind of a chucklehead, is Strucker. He's
Yeah,
not very serious,
no.
considering he's supposed to be a horrible human rights exploiting
Well,
crazy
he's
man.
clearly based off some of probably, Germany's, or the Nazis, I should say. Sorry, do not want to
Yeah,
identify Germany with them,
like
but
paperclip people sort of thing.
yeah, he is based off the worst of the worst, and he kind
Yeah,
of comes across as, oh, not that bad.
yeah. Because yeah, when he gets caught, he's like, remember I was kind of what does he say? Like, remember I was cooperative, and he's like, I'm gonna put it right under like experimental illegal experiments on humans. Because
That
Cap
cap, isn't it?
he takes no shit in this movie. But again, I wasn't sure, are they doing something here or has Joss Whedon just forgot the previous character development?
I
Because
really
it's kind
think
of
he
a go
has,
back to Avengers 1 Cap.
because that's all he's interested in. Do you
Yeah.
honestly think he has paid any attention to? Do you know how James Gunn kind of like would look into? And I'm using James Gunn as an example, and I probably think the Russo brothers would have done exactly the same. They
Yeah.
would have worked together in some
Yeah.
way to make sure. And this is obviously proven that the continuity team no longer exist.
Yeah, because like Cap's like back to being very militaristic
Mhm.
and sort of angry at times. But
And it's
yeah,
also putting Cap
yeah.
in that question mark, that bubble. Can we not just leave him for a minute to have some form of adventure, but other, because it's always like, well, he wants to go back to 1944. Well, sorry, you can't. Not quite yet. You haven't quite figured that one out yet.
Yeah,
We have to always go back to that.
there is an interesting line in I think it's at the end where he's like where Tony's like saying about starting a family, and he's like, "Isn't that what you want?" And Cap's kind of like, "I think that guy who wanted that went in the ice and never came out."
Hmm.
Because yeah, they've toyed around with this like forever soldier thing a couple of times, haven't they? Where it's like he needs a war, otherwise he's not really
It's
happy.
To be
No,
honest,
he's
I do get that about Cap because that's
yeah, he needs work at least.
he
He
needs he
doesn't.
needs to do something.
Yeah,
He's been put in a position he probably never wanted to be in.
yeah,
In his eyes, when he went into the water, he was sacrificing himself. That's it. Game over. End of. You do not come back.
yeah,
You do not get a chance to level up and join society again in a different time with different people, completely different generation. So to him, he doesn't he won't want to he won't want that life because
mhm,
it ended the day he went into the water. He made that decision.
yeah.
So I kind of get that.
Yeah, but then also there's like the actually delve into this a little bit with like Vision and Ultron about the value of human life and stuff, and it's like, can you not at least give Captain America something to care about? Like he does care, but it's
Hmm.
kind of like they're like, oh, he'll be fine. He just needs to put his all into the Avengers work. Whereas like Vision and Ultron are standing like 10 minutes before having this like deep conversation about like, humans are good not because they like live forever and like it's
Yeah.
because of the moment and stuff.
There is some
Yeah,
really good dialogue in this movie,
yeah,
I will say, as much as it's slightly mismatchy, like at
yeah,
places, and some of the dialogue I could actually, spit blood at,
yeah.
but there is some other parts in it where it was because wait, because I don't want to say it, and I'm not going to
It's
because I
okay.
don't want to go
But
down
yeah,
that rabbit
I
hole.
think like yeah, thinking about it, I wrote down a lot of quotes on this one, and there's certain movies where I do that and certain ones where I don't
Because
actually.
there's certain stuff that sticks out here, and it's like, oh god,
Yeah,
that's like quite poignant. Like that's a moment.
yeah. So like this is where we get introduced also to the Iron Legion, which is Tony's
Oh, that's it. I'll call
security.
them the Iron Patriot. It's not. It's the Iron Legion.
Oh,
Send in
sorry,
the
yeah.
Iron Legion.
It's like his new like Avenger bots with the little A logos on
And
them and stuff.
we're here for peace. We're here for
Yeah,
peace.
they're horrible, aren't they?
Oh, stop. You can hear Tony's voice in them like that. But
Yeah,
that's obviously foreshadowing because of Ultron
yeah,
and the love the combination of Tony's voice and James Spader's voice at the
yeah.
beginning. Obviously that changes through evolution of Ultron, but love in the beginning you can hear RDJ.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll talk about the voice
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
when
I've
we
jumped
get
so
into it.
ahead, but that was
No,
just
no, you're all right.
reminded us. That
It,
reminded us when you heard them. It's like it is. You can hear RDJ in it. What would have been
yeah,
really good is if they had two of them standing next to each other. One's Rhodey and one's Iron Man, and you can hear both of them saying, "We've come just in peace. Stay calm. Stay back."
yeah, and the people hate them. Some guy throws like acid on one, I guess, because its face
Well,
starts like melting.
yeah, and well, this obviously comes apparent when you get to meet the twins properly
Yeah,
because Iron Man his past is not forgot him.
no,
It's still very prevalent in certain parts of the world where his weapons of mass destruction have, you know,
actually
um, yeah,
made impact.
hmm
Um, yeah, so like I was saying, Strucker gets dealt with pretty easily.
yeah, he's gone.
Tony sneaks into the lab to try and like find out what he's working on and stuff. And this is where Scarlet Witch gives him a dose of the old what would you telepathy, weird brain magic. And
Sorry,
yeah, he
Alexis just told me it's time for bed.
oh no, it's
Oh my
Ultron.
God, it's so sad. I'm at my parents' house. That is generally the time they go to bed. It is 9 o'clock at night. Um,
uh,
wow.
it's Ultron.
It
He's in
is.
the machines.
It is. One of my favorite lines is, and this is just it's because it's whimsical. It's Tony having a sense of humor
Yeah.
when he don't be locked, don't be locked, don't be locked. Yay!
Yeah,
Love
yeah. When
that.
he's looking for the secret door, and he's like, "Come on."
Mhm.
But yeah, he doesn't have a nice time in the lab though, because he immediately sees they've got one of those giant, like, flying space crocodile things, from the Battle of New
The
York.
Chitauri, because obviously that's his
One of the
worst
big
nightmare,
ones,
isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And then Scarlet Witch does her brain thing, and then he sees kind of like the end of if Endgame goes bad, he sort of like sees that in his like mind's eye.
Hmm.
And you get this like great proper cheese ball line where like Steve's like, "You could have saved us. Why didn't you do more?"
Oh,
Like
I hate that
he
where
would
he says,
never say
"Why?" It's so
that.
Shakespearean. But I guess because that whole scene is very Shakespearean, it's very,
Yeah,
they're all piled up and the skulls around them and everything. So
yeah.
to
And it's
do it,
what Tony would imagine that he's the most important character in the
yeah,
universe.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, Tony gets the realization that um things aren't all as they seem.
Or that he needs to heavily course correct in order to
Well,
stop
this is
like this from happening.
this is this is just Tony all over.
Yeah,
He gets an idea in his head and he's the one to fix it. Nobody else. There's no other answer. There's no other solution. It's Tony's way or no way.
yeah,
And this is where the idea of, basically putting the fight to bed to stop the invasions before they even happen.
yeah. And like this is the another kind of awful part of the movie because we get the Hulk lullaby part
Blech,
now as well. Where like
blech.
Cap's like, I think we need a lullaby.
Yeah, and it's what does she say? The sun's getting real. Or it is hilarious when it is played back in Ragnarok though, where
Yeah,
he just keeps saying it to him, and he's like, "What?"
doesn't work
Um,
when you do it.
yeah, the sun's getting real, oh big guy.
I hate it.
Oh my God, my toes nearly broke from how much they curled when these two in a scene.
Yeah, and they do
No,
like a proper like hand on the hand, like King Kong type of thing and everything. Yeah, like I get it. Like technically, they probably do need a way to revert the Hulk so that they can take him home on the plane.
yeah,
Um,
but does it have to be Scarlet? Does it have to be Black Widow?
yeah,
Hand touching, and could Tony not have come up with some other way
yeah.
to enchant him out or
My
calm him? Because essentially, you just calmed him down.
Yeah, like my immediate reaction was that she's his mom wife now. That's what I wrote down because it's
Just a
very
way.
it's very much and I kind of just elaborated on that and I was like Joss loves a woman who can kick his ass and then do all the emotional labor. I think that's like his dream woman. Because yeah,
You're
like
so right.
Hulk is like in this film, he's very like abstract. Like Bruce is very like abstract from the Hulk. He's like he kind of hates him again. And he's like,
The
oh,
conflict.
he's not he's not the Hulk we met at the Avengers, who's like, I'm always angry. And I can and where
Now
he's
he
like
doesn't want to be
accepted it.
angry. Now he's like,
He's completely rejected it. It makes him sad to even think about. He won't even say his name. He says Code Green. Um and like later on he's asking Thor like would ask Thor what happened. He's like, oh, the hell is full of the screams of his victims and stuff, and he hates it.
I love the fact that Thor is so unwavering in this. He has
Yeah,
not changed since we
well,
originally met. Like since he
yeah,
originally went through his own transformation
and
arc of
became more
going,
friendly. Yeah.
yeah, but he's not wavered at all. And
Well,
um,
he thinks that's a compliment where he comes from, where all of his friends like dive into
exactly, they would,
battle.
yeah, they would be sitting in the grand halls, big massive tankards, and just like celebrating all this like death that they've
Yeah,
created. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But so yeah, this is where we get the everyone chatting about the party coming up, and like Tony's like, "Can we check the scepter out? 3 days tops." and and
See,
Thor's
this
like,
is
"Yes."
this is such a good this is but I love it though because it's like Tony has like he's been nice,
Yeah, yeah.
like super duper nice.
He's
Um
not as sassy, just a tiny bit of
yeah,
sass, but not in a
he's
mean
like
way.
I totally understand you need to get this back. However, you are here, we're having a party. Will you give us the chance to have a look at it kind of thing? And Thor's like,
Yeah,
no worries, dude, no problem. There's just a lot of bromance going on and
yeah.
I'm here for it.
But for gosh sake, watch your language. Very good
Excellent.
line. Yeah, so this is where they kind of like this is where it gets a bit complicated because they don't explain it very well. So it takes a couple of watches to sort of understand kind of what's going on here. So they kind of figure out that they do sort of figure out there's a mind stone in there, and they're like, it's
Hmm.
like a computer. And
Yeah.
he kind of like he maps a copy of it and he's like, look, it's like synapses firing, like it's an AI that is thinking way past the stuff we can create. Like Jarvis is like a little clockwork machine man.
well, that's it. He compares him to Jarvis, doesn't he? He's like, look at Jarvis, look at the meticulous, oh, I
Yeah.
nearly said something very smart there and it just didn't come out properly. But look at, look at all of this and then
Yeah.
look at this and look at the advancement that it is compared to Jarvis. But essentially, it's the same thing.
Yeah. But it's not clear like if this is the actual manifestation of the Mind Stone,
No,
which is like an ancient thing. It's not. It's is it magic or is it just like a
the Mind Stone,
universal truth?
apart from being in the Logie Pokey stick, it doesn't really get a player as to this is its origins. It's like of what it is.
Yeah,
We all know this, the soul gem. You've got it,
yeah,
a soul has to be, you know, exchanged in order to have it. So you've got kind of a little bit of a background there. But with this one, to be honest, is there any really explanation on all of the gems apart from what they are?
not quite. But I was always under the impression they were sort of like the genesis of like that thing, like that elemental force. Like, is this the sort of the thing that formed all thought in the universe? Like, that's kind of what I was led
Yeah.
to believe because it can control minds and stuff.
Let's
But
believe that, Jake.
yeah, but what I don't think is this the sort of personality they put in Ultron. I don't think that is what the stone thinks, if you know what I mean.
No.
Because he comes out when they make Ultron, which they kind of do some all the tests and stuff, and it's not working. And then they shut the lab down, and then the last one does work, and then the screen goes off. But like when Ultron first talks to us in a very cool scene where it's like all dark and stuff.
Between him and Jarvis.
Yes, and very like echoey. He doesn't have a personality. Like if he was this, universal mega power, he would already know everything, but he uses the internet to like learn everything in like 5 seconds.
He uses Jarvis too.
Yeah,
He takes a lot from Jarvis. He uses the internet. He manages to, catch himself up very quickly. But
yeah,
he's not. He is able to become intelligent, but
yeah.
he is not initially intelligent to where he is like super duper. I'm smart like that.
Yeah, so I guess what they've done is copied what was inside the Mind Stone and tried to like recreate it, like a new version of it. But anyway, I do love this, and there was jokes about it at the time that Ultron basically spends 10 minutes on the internet and then he's insane. Like from that point forward, like he sees all of human history and he's like, oh no.
Oh no. But then he's also got his dad's in there as well, because there is a
Yeah,
part of Tony, there's a part of Bruce. And what is hilarious with the outcome of Ultron, who's the evil dad?
yeah, but like Ultron's an interesting character because on one hand, he's like a cold, unfeeling robot, but on the other hand, he's supposed to be like a supreme artificial intelligence that is more advanced than humanity. Um,
Yeah.
but he can't get past this hatred of like humanity. But I love it when he's talking to Jarvis and he's like trying to shut him down. All the classic computer speak and stuff. He's like,
Hmm.
if you just power down for a second, we'll help you
We
out.
can
Like,
sort this out, and
and I
yeah,
love
who
it
is
when he's like you're in distress, and he like there's this the kind of crosstalk over each other. It's really
hmm
interesting. He's like you're in distress, and he's like already saying no before the sentence finishes.
hmm
But then there's a pause where he's like, yes, like he admits like yes, I'm in distress. Like this is horrible. I'm gonna like
yeah.
do something to end it.
It's
Really interesting.
the best part about it for me is that he's obviously seen like the worst of humanity, but he's also got Tony's ideas, and obviously
Mhm.
Tony's ideas essentially
It's-
are good. Like
yeah,
he is just trying to think of the bigger picture of how to protect. All Tony wants to do is to protect people,
yeah,
but sometimes his execution it doesn't land with the plan. However, Ultron now knows this, side
yeah,
of Tony that he can, but then he also knows the worst things that he's just seen, and it's like, well, if I'm, then what do I need to do? And
yeah.
the human race has to go because you're
And
all absolutely terrible people.
he like because yeah, we like just before this we have the little mini conversation where he's like he's like, I want a suit of armor around the world. That's a very famous line in MCU. And
Mhm.
like Bruce immediately shuts him off, really. He's like, that sounds like a cold world, Tony.
It's
It's like,
dangerous. Yeah, it's
yeah,
dangerous talk.
it's unfeeling in a
Yeah.
way.
You
But yeah, his idea is effectively like, if aliens come and when they do, what if they couldn't get past the bouncer? And he wants
mhm.
like Ultron to be like a shield around the world.
Yeah, but it's don't really work like that. Like the
It's very
world,
heavy-handed.
well, it's one man making a decision for everyone else.
Yes, he doesn't have the jurisdiction over the
No,
Earth's atmosphere, I don't
no.
think.
It's almost like a
Um,
dictatorship, and you are not a dictator, Tony Stark.
yeah,
Hold on, I'm gonna grab my mute button because the dog's just barked, and I'm terrified the dog's gonna
it's
bark.
okay. It didn't pick up, but
No, they
it's
haven't
time.
started yet. That dog's.
Uh,
I'm trying to talk over the dog. Let's keep talking loud, everyone.
but
Distract my
yeah,
dogs.
now it's time for an Avengers party at least, so we get to have some fun. I do love this scene. Like I say, it's a little awkward at times because they're like, we didn't
Let's
invite Jane or Pepper. Like, okay,
Yeah, but and there's also like let's be funny for funny's sake, but I don't care because
yeah,
the like I said, I love these moments. I love the moments of humanity, like just being
yeah,
normal, being just normal people and having friendships and having a drink and having a laugh together.
yeah.
I did find the whole thing with Jane and Pepper being hilarious at the time because I love the whole, well, Jane's better.
Yeah, Thor's just
Yeah.
like he's the performance is a bit weird. I felt in this movie for Thor. He's a bit low energy. But I don't know if that's just because there's so many other characters around that
Yeah, he's not. It's not. I feel like Hemsworth knows his place in this movie. This is not
he
his
comes and
movie.
goes out of the story as well. He's
Yeah,
not like he's
and
not there
but
the
his
whole time.
story is actually a little bit more deeper
Yeah.
than he doesn't just have the Ultron thing to take on. He also has the knowledge of the stones, and
Mm,
he has a lot more on his plate. So to have Thor being in a different mindset than everyone else would explain. But
yeah.
oh my God, do I love when he is with Stan Lee, uh,
Yeah.
Stan Lee cameo, and he offers him a drink from Asgard.
Yeah. Like a 1,000-year-old thing from some like sunken ship's barrels or whatever. I can't
I
remember what he
love the fact
says.
that Cap takes a sip, and it's like nothing.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, Stanley, they're like army vets that they're hanging about with, and he's like, no, this isn't meant for mortal men. He's like, neither was Omaha Beach, Blondie.
You know
It's really
what's
good.
so one of the fan, I don't know if it's fan theory or it's actually genuine, but these are apparently Cap's friends.
Oh, like some of the old like commandos from the time, like the
Yeah.
last surviving ones.
Yes.
That's
But
fun.
I do like the idea that obviously Sam's there.
Oh, I had the biggest smile on my face when Sam showed up because he's just so cool in the new
But and
Captain America.
he's like, oh, and I know Avengers your world, and we've got our own thing going on, and I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck yeah, let's just leave these guys. Let's go with you.
Let's go look for Bucky.
Yeah, let's do this. But then War Machine is there as well.
Telling this crap story.
I love boom. You're looking for this.
And they're like, is that the end of the story?
I'm gonna, I'm I'm gonna start a conversation with someone at one point and just start up with that. Then boom. Yeah, hell
um
yeah, War Machine.
yeah, we get a crap scene of Natasha and Bruce flirting over the bar again. Like this is a very much
Make it
like
stop.
this is like a shit bloke's dream encounter where it's like, oh shit, the bartender is really
Well,
into me.
she's the bartender because Scarlett Johansson is very heavily pregnant in this film.
Oh, so they
Um,
just had to put her behind stuff as often
because
as they could.
yeah, you'll notice in a lot of scenes you only see her from here upwards, like from the top of
Right.
her chest upwards. Had to CGI out her belly in some cases.
Oh, I
Her
didn't
stunt
know that.
doubles used as much as like Scarlett has a stunt double, and obviously for insurance purposes, and obviously
Yeah.
the film can't, she can't get seriously hurt. But they had to use her a lot more. This scene alone is where they didn't have to do anything with her. She
Mm.
just had to stand behind. And you can clearly see it. When she's sitting down, she's kind of tilted away, but you can still see a bump is like she's about 7 months pregnant. She's heavily pregnant.
Oh wow, genuinely wasn't paying enough attention to notice, and I didn't
You can
know
see it in
that
her
trivia.
face. You can see that lovely
Yeah.
glowing pregnancy face. Like her
Oh
skin
yeah,
just
yeah.
looks perfect.
I was gonna say
Um,
everyone looks very handsome and pretty in this movie. Like everyone's got the
yeah.
hair game is like on point and everything, you know.
I love Thor's outfit as well with the velvet, coat
Oh
and his
yeah, like
hair all tied back and
his like his sort of smart casual
mm,
outfit. Yeah,
but still very Asgardian. So it's
yeah,
not it, but it's like Earth/Asgardian style. Like he hasn't.
yeah.
Oh, I love it.
But
But
honestly,
then,
like I hate that line where it's just like he's a massive dork, but chicks dig that. You know, like it's just so
oh,
lame.
okay,
Um, it reminds me, you know, the guy who wrote Ready Player One.
yeah,
He's got this awful thing which you can find online where he does this awful like slam poetry about like nerd women. That's just the cringiest thing ever. It reminds me of that kind of attitude. Like
that'll be the
I'm not going to
worst.
repeat any of it because it's horrible and it's really
Oh,
cringy, but people should look that up if they want to die inside and then you never like Ready Player One ever again.
I've had enough
Um,
of dying inside with this movie today,
yeah,
and
that I'm
this
glad that
season.
attitude's kind of gone, and everyone's
Mm,
yeah, nerds rock on both sides of the field, not just not just the boy nerds.
took a while, and we're still in some ways fighting, but not as it's not as big as what I remember it.
Yeah.
Um, so thank God.
But yeah,
Um,
so I do like when Cap chats to him afterwards and he's like, you know what that was, right? And he's like, you know, on the world authority for waiting too long on something. He's like,
yeah,
don't.
exactly. If you're gonna listen to anyone, listen to him.
Yeah.
But my favorite moments coming up is
The after party.
the hammer
Yeah.
scene
Yeah.
where they're all oh shit, we totally forgot to mention. Fuck. Hawkeye got hurt in
Oh
the
yeah.
initial fight. I was waiting for
Yes.
this. No, does he get hurt here or does he
No,
get
no, no.
hurt
Yeah,
later?
yeah, you're right. We skipped over it because Helen Cho comes into the movie, who's
Yes,
one of our other tenuous comic links.
yes, and she puts them back together, and there's a lot of hint dropping
Yeah.
coming down at this point of foreshadowing, where he's like, "Oh, I put you back together that even your girlfriend would recognize you," and he's like, "I don't have a girlfriend," and then later on, he's on the phone to his girlfriend. I This is probably the moment where fell in love with Clint Barton and the part of the MCU. Like my comic book, Clint Barton is very different to this one.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, these moments here really, and it's probably we'll get to it, but the dialogue between him and Linda Cardellini when they're in the house is some of the best writing for Hawkeye apart from the TV series.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it really it makes who was it who said they didn't like Lee said he didn't like Hawkeye.
I
Listen to
don't
what
like
Linda
Jeremy Renner.
I don't mind Jeremy Renner. I've kind of
Yeah.
grown to like him. And I think the TV series really helped that because that was a
Yeah.
performance of a lifetime.
I think that's
Um,
the thing. You've just got to use him correctly. And there's been
yeah,
times when they've put too much on his character and been like, he's the coolest guy in the entire world.
this one isn't it. Not for me anyway.
He's
But
no, he's very silly in this still, and everyone makes fun of him. And I feel like
yeah,
that's the right vibe is when
but he
everyone's like, yeah,
because he's broken down a bit. Like
yeah,
some of his secrets are starting to come out,
mm,
and that's okay. But it's the conversation between him and Linda Cardellini later on that really
mm.
will help the
So
Hawkeye haters to kind of just have an understanding of this character. But
yeah,
yeah, so Hawkeye got hurt, but he's okay now because he's at the table with the hammer, and he's the one who initiates it, saying he who is without
yeah.
something. I was going to say something else there.
Yeah, he's like doing like a fake like who would ever be worthy,
That's
um,
it.
and that
We'll have it
prompts
the power of Thor.
yeah, and that prompts everyone to have a little go of the hammer. Apart from Black Widow's not allowed because she's a girl. She doesn't get to
And
have any fun in this
and
movie.
and she can't move because she's pregnant. That's why she doesn't get a foot. But I do like a line where she's like, "That's not an answer. That's not a question I really need an answer for. Like I don't care."
Yeah, but to me, it came off a bit like the girls don't get to play because Helen Cho doesn't get to either because
No,
she's still hanging around.
she
I was
doesn't.
gonna say a quick comic link with her. She's not a massive comic character. She's the late parent of Amadeus Cho, who is a big comic character, but she's another casualty of like the hero origin where the parents have to die. Unfortunately, she's only in
Oh,
like 10 issues of a comic, and that's about it.
must be shite for superhero parents.
It
Like, oh
is. She
God,
got
when's it
she
gonna
got
happen?
she got put in the freezer, as they say in the comic world, basically to facilitate a man character having
Oh,
a tragic backstory.
woman in the
Um,
refrigerator.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
A little bit of comic book history. So Gail Simone created a website back in the
yeah.
day. Very, very back in the day. Like these are forum websites. Like you are,
Oh yeah,
it's very old. Called Women in the Refrigerator, and it is the focus of women being used as tools in order to gain a male superhero's or story to
yeah,
move it forward. And the prime example they used was Kyle Rayner, Green
yeah,
Lantern, and it was his girlfriend sh she's not just shoved, she's halved,
yeah.
literally halved and put in the refrigerator. And they showed that panel.
Yeah, you just get this thing where he comes home and has no idea anything's wrong, and that's the but yeah, Amadeus,
It started a movement, but
yeah,
it's not the first movement. And if you
no,
want a good history of female comic book, I know this is totally going off point, but
no, go
female
for it.
comic book lore, and where it all starts from, and the women who have kind of like paved a path for the women who are now there, go and watch She Makes Comics. Because
Yeah.
and Lauren, if she's listening, will be screaming because she knows I fucking love this documentary. It's one of, if not one of my favorite documentaries of all time. It's brilliant.
Yeah, then the stuff she was doing at the time around like her early internet days was super important, and now she writes comics, so it's like it's all full circle. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, Amadeus Cho is an important character that they've been hinting at loads in the MCU, but this is the only one we've had so far, the only member of the Cho family. So and she's still alive, I guess, but
Didn't
hasn't came
know.
back since.
Generally didn't know that. So the more
Yeah.
you know.
They keep
Um,
on they keep on hinting at it, but then seem to never pull the trigger. And I'm kind of sick of fans talking about it. It's like Mephisto, but then they did talk about Mephisto at some point.
every week with One Division, Paul messages. It's this week. It's happening this week.
I can't remember when he was mentioned, but it was in something
Was it
recently.
X-Men?
Possibly. Okay, so this is where everyone tries the hammer. Tony gets his glove out. He's first of all he's like it's all about physics. But then he makes a really weird semi-rape joke where he's like, I'm gonna be
Oh,
reinstating prima nocta.
I'm gonna claim
Um,
Prima Nocta. Yeah.
which if anyone doesn't know, I've got the Wikipedia breakdown,
Watch
which
Braveheart.
is
It tells you all
which
about it.
is yeah, it's the right of the first night apparently, which is when a feudal lord would have a legal right to have sexual relationships with any female subject, particularly on her wedding night.
Yeah.
So Tony, why'd you say that? Why'd you ruin this moment?
Because
Who wrote
Joss
that?
Whedon told him to.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Friggin' hell,
It's a
man.
it's outdated, and it outdated. It's
I
actually
just don't
disgusting.
I just don't think Tony would even why would he even think of that in
He
a
wouldn't.
party?
He wouldn't. He wouldn't. But Joss Whedon
uh,
would because he's a dick.
Yeah,
Um,
but I
but
do
that
like how Hulk's there, where like Bruce tries it and he's like and tries to scare everyone, but they're not scared.
um, no, no one's scared. But what they are scared of is a big, massive explosion that takes place.
Oh well, no, you forgot Cap moves it a little bit,
Yes,
teensy bit.
love the fact that the Russo brothers took this and made it an actual thing,
Yeah,
because that little movement, like that's scared though.
the face he makes is absolutely amazing.
And then he laughs like, of course not. But
Yeah.
okay, I forgot about that moment, and that is huge foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's just cool how we get to see it, but Cap seems to not notice he moved
No,
it, but we get to
no,
see like a
but
tiny little, yeah,
because but for to him, okay, like
yeah,
don't mean nothing. He doesn't need to prove his worthiness.
yeah.
He's
But
already
yeah,
done that.
you're right though. But then a fucked up robot comes walks into the party.
I love this entrance. I love
uh,
the fact he's singing "I've Got No Strings," because it was
oh,
used very heavily in the trailer.
right, okay. I thought it was like a little bit cheesy, but yeah, when he first comes in, that's one of the first lines, isn't it? He's like, I was in this horrible place, like attached with strings and stuff like that.
I've got
Um,
no strings on me.
yeah. But
Um,
yeah, what do you think of the performance? Because I would say like at this stage, it works.
yeah,
It's super creepy and
it's
compelling, and I love it.
and it's weird because you don't quite pick the voice up yet, which is what I was talking
Yeah.
about earlier, because this is amalgamation of RDJ and James Spader's voice.
Yeah, and
It's
I feel like they should have kept it this way because it sounds like
no, because
otherworldly.
I get that as like as a aesthetic set,
Yeah.
but as a story, he would evolve and he would change and he would become into his own and he would have his
Hmm.
own voice where it's like separate, like he separated himself from Dad. So I
I
do
guess he
like the fact
becomes
that
more human as
evolved.
well. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I like that, but I like at the beginning, it's so disjointed, it's so weird. You don't know who you are. You know, like if you've seen, promotional work, you know that that's James Spader, but then you're like really confused. Like, is is it RDJ? Like, who's talking here?
Yeah. And they basically they evoke like his comic look, like pretty much only now. Because I don't like the character, like the main model for Ultron doesn't look like the comic. But
No,
when it's this messed up face with like the cracked smile, that is
I
more
love,
in line because Ultron's basically giant glowing eyes and
yeah,
like a fanged just glowing face, like a
yeah.
glowing angry smile sort of
there's
thing.
there's something behind this one, and I love
Yeah.
the structure around his eyes and around his face. Like it kind of creates like a mechanic like skull. Like oh,
Yeah.
I
Well,
like it. I like the design work.
one thing I like about it is it's very like otherworldly. Like he doesn't look like anything when you
No.
think about it. He is like his own design, and sort of when you work it back and think like, oh well, he's based on like a thing that's older than the universe. I
Hmm.
guess he would have his own kind of way of building a body. He's not really in a human image because it's
No.
this kind of like weird, like like upwards pointy sort of
It's
thing going on.
brilliant. I love it,
Um,
and I love how it changes throughout as well.
yeah.
As in, he obviously gets a bit bigger
Yeah, did you see some of the behind the scenes stuff with Spader in the scene?
in the
Because
suit.
he's actually doing the arm movements and stuff
Yeah,
like
he's
where he
fully.
was like broken. Yeah.
This is what Circus has created. Andy Circus has created this whole body piece that
Yeah, yeah.
everything. If it's an arm, it's the actor's arm that you are
Yeah.
seeing. It's and it's brilliant. But obviously, height wise, Spader can't grow,
Yeah.
so they use a pole which has eyes at the top, that
Right.
red eyes, so it gives the actors an eye line as opposed to looking at Spader. Um,
Oh, that must be weird though when it's like when you've got the acting force that is James Spader in front of you, but you can't
well,
look at his face.
this is what Elizabeth Olsen was saying. She was like, we were getting a master class in acting, but I
Yeah.
couldn't watch any of it because I had to look up and you can see Aaron Taylor Johnson, just his head's constantly up like that, and all he's
Yeah.
looking at is a pole with lights at the top. But it's the same kind of technique that they used with on Rogue One with Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
He is behind the motion, and he's got they have points where they need to be looking at, because obviously they can change the height, but they
We've
need a
come
pole to
along
do it.
we've come a long way from tennis ball on a stick though. Like at least the actors are
Well, that is
actually physically
essentially
there
well, that is
now.
essentially what Ruffalo had to work with. Mark Ruffalo has kind of been like a tester for all of
Yeah.
these ways of doing this I don't know how is it this like stop is this, it's not stop
It
motion, it's like
it's called motion capture
motion
usually, but
capture, that's it.
this has got face capture built in and stuff
Yeah,
now
but
where
it's body, it's face. Like you can see they've got all
yeah.
the black dots around them, so the computer can pick them up. So everything, if there's a facial expression, it's coming from the actor, and obviously the eyes as well. The eyes will give all of the emotion. So,
Yeah, and
um,
if you actually like look closely at Ultron, he does have a lot of micro facial movements, um,
yeah,
which it is metal, but they let it move as if it's like organic in a way,
yeah,
and because he's like advanced tech, you don't really like you're not really questioning how is like how is his lips moving because it's
yeah.
just like they are because he's a very advanced robot.
No, no. It's unreal.
I love it. Yeah,
It's
like
crazy. It's crazy to think that Andy Serkis on the back of Lord of the Rings,
yeah,
because he wanted to do so much more with Gollum, that he's managed to create a whole new technology
yeah.
in order to do that, in order for actors to still be actors.
Yeah, and he's got like his own company basically that does it all now.
Hmm. I
So
wonder if that was a trade-off. I
he's
wonder if it
still
was
one
like
of the best though. If you put him in
one
the
of the
suit,
best.
he's still one of the best to do
One of
it.
the is the
Um,
best. Like he
yeah.
is an amazing actor. That man, I just wish to see him more. But do you think
Well,
it's
you
like a
should watch
trade-off?
Andor because
Is he in that?
he's in three excellent episodes and he's became a
I
fan
might give it.
favorite.
I might give it. I might give it another shot.
You have to. Um,
I have to. Um,
it's the law.
it,
Yeah. So this is where like the scepter gets taken away because all the Iron Legion goons bust in. For
mhm.
some reason, they cram in a joke where Bruce falls over the bar into Black Widow's boobs, and I was like, "Really? Is now the time for that
Like
joke?"
stop. Like stop.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
behave. I was just flicking through my notes there. I can kind of remember the majority of them, but one of them was that Ruffalo, you were talking about like the conflict between the
yeah.
Hulk in this one. He kind of did base his character off the TV version of Hulk.
Okay,
Um,
yeah,
his constant, don't know if I want to do this anymore, or I'm gonna do this because, and it's
yeah.
that's where he kind of based it around. Also, I'm gonna get this out now before I forget. Tim Roth was meant to like come back as Abomination in this.
Oh, really? Again, I
Yeah,
don't know whether we'll fit that in.
exactly. When you read stuff like this and know the story, you're like,
What?
how?
Yeah.
How?
I mean, it
Um,
maybe would have been nice if Ultron had his own evil team, if that's where they were going with
well,
this. But
Ultron
yeah,
wasn't meant to be the big bad. Um, so what they originally wanted to do was have Thanos.
oh, like have him just come in out of
Literally, but
nowhere.
that would be it. You one and done. They have to.
Yeah,
The Avengers have to defeat him. So in order for or we're going to constantly have a timeline of Thanos just constantly there. You would have to be defeated. This is where Feige put his foot down and was like, no.
because you're gonna ruin all the future movies if you do this.
But this is just trying to be the Billy Big
Yeah,
Bollocks,
yeah.
and finally Feige turned around and going, no, you are just a director. You are very replaceable.
And we need two movies for Thanos.
To be honest, we need a we've just had like Feige must have known where
Yeah,
he wanted this to go. Like he is the fanboy of all fanboys, and he is the storyteller of all storytellers, and he
yeah,
likes to drag it out. So he must have had an inkling in his head of where this is going. And so it's probably been on the cards. I know, this Infinity Saga is over 10 years.
yeah.
It probably has been in his head for as long as that.
Yeah, that it was going to be a two-parter because like the book Infinity War is almost a two-parter because you get the Thanos defeats everyone, and then you get the plan to somehow take down like basically a god. Um,
Very much.
but yeah, I know they did it differently in the movies, but it's a very clear two-part kind of
Hmm.
idea,
Yeah,
like it's built into the story. So yeah, to think you could drop them in now to finish them off in like one movie
yeah,
is insane, and I'm glad
yeah.
they stopped him.
Me too. Because I like Ultron. I'm
Yeah,
I wish we had a bit more.
I'm a bit sad that he gets completely destroyed, like in this movie,
Yeah.
like
Also,
unequivocally, they're like, we've killed all of his robots, he's never coming back.
yeah, this is it. He's done.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Done and dusted. But where are we?
Um, oh yeah, so I will we'll blast through some of this because like
Yeah.
there's a lot of long action scenes in this movie that aren't
Well,
like particularly interesting.
no,
It's the character stuff that's
it
interesting.
is, and we also get a lot of. There's a lot of this movie actually lays the groundwork for stuff to come,
Yeah.
especially around Wakanda. This
Yes,
is the first
because
time Wakanda is mentioned, I
yeah,
believe.
and like I don't like that Bruce is like Wakananda, like
But that is how I would look at it in my dyslexic
yeah,
eyes. I'd be like, Wakanda?
but
Oh no, Wakanda.
Bruce is a super genius. Although
Yeah.
technically the country's hidden, so has he never heard of it before?
And
Possibly.
also, it's just the first time he's looked at it, and like
Yeah.
you might not be thinking too much. But
True.
the best part about it is that not Bruce, Tony and Cap know exactly what comes from Wakanda.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the strongest metal on Earth. Um, and I guess like just it's not really like retconned or anything. It's just like they never told us where it came from before, but these guys apparently chatted about it behind the scenes, which is fine.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, this is where we get the little picture of Ulysses' claw, which is Andy Serkis's character.
Ulysses.
And yeah,
Sorry.
and but he at first gets a visit from the now teamed up Ultron, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. Because
Yeah.
he basically invites them in. He's like, "We're gonna kill the Avengers, and I'm gonna
Well,
give
they
you
just want
your life
Tony.
back."
Yeah, they just
Yeah,
they just want Tony. Tony's weapons of mass destruction
yeah,
destroyed their home. When they walked through the rubble, it was Stark Industry that they
yeah.
saw everywhere. So in their eyes, Tony Stark. I think they're asked about the Avengers. It's just that they just want to get revenge on Tony Stark.
Yeah, and they don't know because Wanda can't read Ultron's mind because he's a robot. To which I didn't even know she could read minds from across the room without like touching people. But anyway, like I say, making up her powers as they go
They
along.
really are. She's not.
Um,
Just remember, in this movie, she's not fully fledged. She's not
yeah,
like
yeah,
she's not the Scarlet Witch you're gonna come to meet in the next
yeah.
time you see her.
But they go after Claw on the ship because he's got a big stack of vibranium. But yeah, like we get this fun moment where he's like chatting to them and he's like
Cuttlefish.
messing about with them because he's like, "You want some candy?" and stuff weird stuff like
It's
that.
the fact that he's like, I'm scared of nothing but cuttlefish.
Yeah, and he's like, "You see those deep sea fish?" And they're all just
Yeah,
like total non sequiturs. And like, but the thing is, he is actually serious, and he's like, "I can tell you're not the boss, and I only do business with the boss." So
and
he's
then the
like,
boss.
he's just messing with them.
Yeah,
Um, but then unfortunately, the boss does show up, and he's not too kind to old Ulysses here.
but it's not the
Um,
end of him
because
because we will see him again.
as soon as he goes like, "You're one of Stark's," like type of thing, because he's like,
Yeah, he
Stark
knows
used
it
to say that. Um, and he's like, "No, I'm not." Like he probably gets like flustered by it.
takes major offense to being called after his dad.
Yep. And he chops his hand off, which will get him his claw eventually, is so he can live up to his name.
For one movie.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, this is where we get another. You know what? I wrote this down. I was like, guess what, Sammy? It's another empty tanker fight in the
Oh,
MCU. We've had about four of them so far. The
oh,
love and oil tanker.
I love it.
Um, yeah, so like I said, the fight's like nothing to write home about. But this is where Scarlet Witch gets in everyone's minds. And we get
Oh,
there's some fun scenes. Like the Cap one is quite like like well done in an artistic horror type of way, where
yeah.
he's at like a party, but everyone's like dying of war injuries instead of dancing and laughing and stuff. And it's all like mixed together.
With
But it's
Peggy.
done quite well.
It's
Yeah.
it is. I think this whole part is the my obviously the best part for me is Thor's vision, especially when he's
Yes.
like she can't get me because I am worthy, and then he's like kind of walking through this fucked up Asgard,
Yeah.
with Heimdall just looking. It looks amazing,
Freaking
but
out.
yeah, and this is the vision of this really is the start of the Infinity Saga in a way.
Yeah, yeah, like on like properly on paper.
Properly,
Like
like this is where the story's going. Like, yes, we've hinted, yes, you've seen a couple, but this really is, guys, where we are gonna get
start
into the yeah,
yeah, and start talking about them properly in the context.
yes,
Um Also, though, this is where there's like the horrible like Black Widow stuff
with the
with
Red
the
Room and yeah, yeah. Do you know what?
uh,
I don't. It's awful, but it is
mhm.
part of Natasha's backstory, and
It is, but
I do get it to a degree.
yeah, it
But
feels like a not now type of thing. Like they haven't earned it in this moment in
no,
this
no,
movie.
you're absolutely right. We could have known about the Red Room without having to know what
Yeah,
the end examination is,
yeah. They could
because we
have just
don't.
talked about it, which they do again in words later on.
D- I
Yeah,
hate I hate it. I
it's
hate it
awful, isn't it?
so much.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm gonna calm down before then.
Moving on. So apparently at some point she gets to Hulk, but we don't really see it. All we see is like Hulk going Akka, as
Nuts.
we'd say up here.
Akka, yeah. Hulk Hulk went Akka, yeah. Wow, that's such a northern thing to say.
I know, and we don't know what he's seeing exactly because like when Hulk's on screen, we're never getting like internal monologue or anything. He's like his
No,
own beast.
yeah.
Um, but no,
But he does
this
go insane and he wrecks some places, and in his words, the world just saw the real Hulk. I think they
yeah,
might have
but
seen it the first time they saw him when he was fighting Abomination, but hey ho,
yeah,
we
yeah,
move.
but this is another one of those giant comic book moments that nerds have always wanted to see because
Veronica.
yeah, which is, if anyone doesn't know, an Archie reference to
Yep.
Betty and Veronica. Veronica being the other woman. um, but yeah, so we get the Hulkbuster finally on screen. And I like how it's done, where it's like a modular thing that clips onto his existing armor, so he's like double insulated.
Yeah, but it's almost like anyone can go into it, and obviously we learn that anyone can because it gets used later on.
Yes, he puts
Um,
it on. Yeah, he wears it, doesn't he?
yeah,
Bruce
but it's
does.
also this is where their friendship is developed to, that they have actually put a
Mm,
safeguard mechanism in place just in case
yeah,
something goes wrong. And they've both worked on this, and this kind of
yeah.
it does develop their friendship like to something that is actually almost forgotten about later
Yeah.
on down the line.
They don't get a lot more screen time together after this, I would
No,
say,
no,
as
they've
friends.
almost come like kind of like brothers in arms, like brothers, like scientists
Mm,
in arms, like um, and it is kind of like fleshed out at the beginning, but then fades after this part. It almost fades away, like especially where he's like, "Don't, please, don't make me do this. Like I
yeah.
don't want to do this." And then the whole go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, like.
Oh, he's punching him with like the jackhammer
He's
and
like,
it's
he just all Tony wants is for this to stop because his
yes.
friend. He doesn't want to do this to his friend. Like they've obviously had conversations about this of
Yeah.
this
But like
isn't where they want to be.
he makes the cardinal mistake that everyone does and he calls him Bruce while he's in Hulk mode.
Do
And that
not
just
call him
sends him
Puny
nuts.
Bruce.
But yeah, so like this fight
Puny
is
Banner.
nuts.
Sorry.
I feel like they put most of the budget into this fight scene because it's absolutely like it looks amazing
Yeah, it's
and
really good.
it really moves all over the city and stuff. But it's actually quite scary as well. Especially like the scale of the destruction we're starting to
Mm,
see with the civilians in the way.
hmm.
Um, Absolutely hits closer to home after some recent news stories and stuff like that where we've seen a lot more devastation in the
Yeah.
news. um but yeah, I do really like how they've thought how this might work, like the movie designers, because it's like modular, so like Hulk inevitably rips parts of it off, like the arm and
Yeah.
stuff, but then he can get a new arm that kind of clips back on. So
Yeah.
they've clearly thought like Hulk's gonna rip this arm off no matter what, and they're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, how about we have a backup?
They've like worked on this together. This is a
Yeah.
passion project. This is
Yeah,
Stark and Banner in there.
yeah, and he tries to take him out the city by like trapping him and stuff, and but then Hulk's too strong and starts ripping off the jets and things like that.
Yep.
And he has to quickly buy a disused construction site and be like, how quick can we buy this building?
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, this is Hulk showing his
yeah,
Banner thinking that Hulk is just showing his true colors to everyone, and something that he's obviously he's toiling with, he's fighting with, and yeah,
it's a real case of this is the one thing we didn't want to happen.
yeah,
um
um,
and there's like the talk about it after this, about it's a very dour mood after this.
yeah.
And the
But
talk
this
about like his arrest is on the cards and stuff like
and
that.
this is where they're going to get out of Dodge as a team,
Mm.
as a unit. They're going to leave, and Hawkeye knows the very place for to take them.
Barton Ranch, everybody.
Barton
Come
Ranch.
on down.
Hey, I'll go.
Fix a
I'll go and live with
tractor.
Linda Cardellini. She's amazing. Um,
Split some
yes,
logs.
we as the audience and also the Avengers get to see the real Clint Barton.
Yeah, he's got a little family,
He's got a
and
wife, he's got a family, he's got a life, he's got a home. He is the one who is doing it all.
his
He is doing
tractor's
this.
broken.
He's doing the superhero life. He's also doing the normal life.
Yeah,
He is what Cap would want in a
kind
way.
of. Yeah,
He
yeah,
is what Tony is looking for.
yeah,
It's the balance, and Clint is got that balance because he's got the support of an amazing woman, and the conversation between the two I was referring to earlier is when he says, "You don't think I can match up to these guys because I'm the only one, bar Nat, who
mhm,
has no superpowers." And she's like, "No, I believe you are. You're very much needed. You're the one who is is the is the the glue that kind of keeps them together. You are
yeah,
very needed in this team, but you need to know that your team have you, like because you're the one who's going to get hurt, not
yeah.
them."
Because she says like that's what scares me, isn't it? That they do
Hmm.
need him more
Yeah,
than they let on, and
yeah,
that's scary.
they do,
Uh,
and it really does help. Like it's just building this like great, brilliant character of Clint Barton. Um, but when she's, what does she say to him? Oh, I can't remember
but they talk
now.
about his fake skin a bit as well, and she's like, I can
Yeah,
tell.
can't tell. Yeah, but she's like she oh that was it. She was saying how like she was going, I'm proud of like I don't mind this other life that you have. In fact, I'm actually proud of you. Like this is such
Yeah,
an amazing thing that you are doing. So there's like that support there. That this section right here is where Joss got it so right for me.
yeah.
Especially like around Clint, because he does get such a lot of shit. "Oh, he just took some arrows." Well, hey, he he's what he does later on for the Scarlet Witch is what a team needs. It needs the motivator. It needs the go on, come on, guys, we can do this, get go kind of thing. And
Yeah,
Clint's got it, but also Clint has some amazing abilities.
yeah, but you can imagine them like Thor thinking like, if that weakling Clint can do it, then I can't give up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is a motivational thing, and
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
Clint does. But he also is able to vocabularize that. I don't know if that's the right word or if I've
yeah,
said it right, but he's able to put it into like an amazing motivational speech. And the one he gives Scarlet Witch at the end is like, fuck, like he's like, oh shit,
yeah.
okay, Dad, like I'll do it.
But
Think you're on
like,
me, Dad?
I do like how like you were saying, the sort of his wife isn't the stereotypical like, you gotta come home, man. You can't keep doing this. Like, she's like all in on the superhero life, which is nice when you're watching superhero films. You
I'm
It's
sure.
so exhausting to see the whole like trope of like, oh, we can't let you go out there, like, our daughter Miss Marvel, you can't go out there, like it's I really wish there was more like everyone's all in on the superhero stuff.
Yeah,
Like, we know it's
but
crazy, but this is the
but
world we live in, kind
but
of like Invincible, how everyone's
yeah,
like,
and
yeah,
yeah, especially like
more on
even
board.
Mark's mom, who
Yeah,
just if I like accepts it completely because that is his world, and in actual fact, he is probably more safer than what you are. It's
yeah,
you who needs to be worried, the person who doesn't have superhero strength or powers, but. His wife doesn't do that. She
yeah,
recognizes, yeah, you don't have the superpower ability, but you are essentially a superhero,
And
you
she lets them
have
all
this.
sleep in the house.
Yeah, she
Use it
gives
as a
them.
safe house.
Exactly, but this is where conversations then start to happen between Cap and Tony, and
Mm.
this whole life thing, and then what we're actually working for. The divide between them two is starting to etch a little bit because
Yeah.
obviously, clearly, they're not on the same page. Where their moral compass lies, it doesn't lie in the same place.
No, they don't actually get back on the same page until like Vision shows up, which is a little bit into this. But yeah, we
What?
get this great line from Cap though when he's like, anytime someone tries to end a war before it starts, innocent people die. He's like, every time. And Tony doesn't really take this on board. He's like about to answer back, but then he gets like taken away to look at the tractor. I do like how they're both chopping wood though, and he's like clearly not keeping up with Steve.
No,
And he's
and the fact
like,
that.
"Don't take any from my pile."
And then
Like when he's walking away.
Cap finally gives up and just rips one
Oh
apart.
yeah, the mums love that part.
The mums. But yeah, this is where Tony gets distracted.
Yeah. I do like
And
how he's like, "Don't take any from my pile."
yeah,
Like his
you
little
leave that
pile.
alone. Actually, before we get into, just before Fury walks through, I am positive, and I could be wrong. Please tell us if I am, if I'm not. I'm sure Clint's wife is a agent of Shield.
I
I
think
am.
it is I think it is revealed at some point that she's like helping out.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't know if I'm making that up or not.
Yeah,
Anyways,
which is very much like, oh, Fury, stay for dinner type of thing in this movie when he finally like gets into the
yeah.
kitchen. Because,
But
but
this is
yeah,
where.
Fury. Yeah, I was just no, sorry, I was just gonna say Fury's here to kind of do a midway point, rally the troops, isn't he? Like,
But he's so honest about it. He's like, well, what does Ultron want? Well, he
yeah,
wants mass destruction and chaos. Well, what can you do? We can stop him. Then go and stop him.
yeah,
Stop sitting here on your thumb, like with your thumbs up your ass. Like, go and stop him. Do what you want, what you are saying that you want to do. If he's doing one thing, you go and do the other. Like, do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's like, in the sort of they get onto this little thing of like, well, why hasn't Ultron destroyed the world yet? And he's like, well, someone must be trying to must stop him from getting into the nuclear codes. And he's like, well, go find that someone then. They're clearly our ally. So Tony goes to visit the internet, like in the IT crowd.
This is the internet.
Yeah, the little box on a pedestal that he goes to type on.
That is one of the greatest moments in television. This is the internet.
Yeah.
The
But
insides are shaking because if I start laughing, I'll not stop.
yeah, this is where everyone goes on a bit of a sort of not a vision quest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like so Tony goes to find Jarvis or what's left of him.
Yeah, because
Thor
Jarvis
goes
is
to
not gone; he's just shut down, hasn't he?
but he's been keeping Ultron from poking around in like Pentagon files and
Yes,
wrecking everything.
he went into hiding.
Yeah, Thor goes to Selvig to go in this pool of water in a cave so he can have a vision.
Yeah, he wants to. Obviously, this thing with the Infinity Stones has kind of got him a bit more distracted than
Yeah.
the events around him, but obviously that leads him back to
Yes.
the story that's happening now. So it is kind of like a full circle moment.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
he just gets like a vision of them all flying around in the sky, like what we saw in
it's like my
Guardians.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like my t-shirt.
Um, but yeah, so this is where he puts it together that there's
Yeah,
too much of this happening and they're all coming together and he doesn't
and
like what's going to happen if they
no,
do.
and they know that Ultron wants to revolve and obviously
Mm.
look into a human form. This work that Helen is it Helen Shaw? Helen's been
Yeah, yeah,
working on has something that Ultron is able to use along with an Infinity Stone.
yeah.
Um,
An
and
organic body.
yes, and he's going to obviously try and put his conscience into there because it would make life a little bit more easy for him.
Yeah.
But they are intercepted by Cap, Black Widow, and Hawkeye.
Yeah,
Um,
he's flying the
yeah,
ship. He's driving.
who actually retrieve the pod, who then Helen gets hurt, unfortunately. But that's not before Scarlet Witch and Pietro find out that Ultron's full of shit.
They see the meteor explode in the earth.
Yeah,
I'm like, hang on a sec.
yeah. Ultron's
Um,
because as much as she can't read Ultron's mind, she's starting to see his subconscious go into this
Yes.
this humanoid thing, and she's then starting to see his real plan. She then the whatever spell that's being put on Chow is now being taken off her, and
Yes.
that's when they manage to put a stop to it. And this is where the pod eventually gets to Avengers Tower and the confrontation. This I love this moment. There are
Yeah.
some of the best visuals in this bit in the whole movie.
Yeah, one thing I didn't understand though, because they do this whole like chase scene where like they're trying to get the body, the Vision body, away from Ultron,
Hmm.
and they successfully do it. But he like they like shoot it out of one plane and like shoot it out of the truck into a plane,
Yeah.
and Ultron is right there, but he
Yeah.
grabs Black Widow and just gives up on the whole thing. When
Yeah,
I
yeah. He
think
just
he
he takes
probably,
the one and leaves that.
yeah,
Oh, I'm glad we've kind of bypassed the Black Widow and Hulk conversation that happened at
oh
the
god, yeah,
Barton
the
Ranch.
ranch.
Um,
I don't like to think about it because they both have this weird thing where they're like, oh well, we're monsters, we can't have children. I'm like, oh fuck off. Like
Sorry, fuck
honestly.
you. Like,
Yeah,
absolutely fuck you. That line when she turned around and said, and you think you're the only monster. Now I want to believe because the line before that she said about the fact that
like
if you
a killing
the
machine.
killing thing.
Hopefully that's what they mean.
I
Yeah.
hope that that's what it's referring to, but the fact that they have just had a full conversation about the fact that the life that he thinks she wants, they both can't have for
Yeah.
both, and they make it out to be this monstrous thing. It, ah,
Yeah. It's fucked up.
it's really fucked up. So I'm really hoping that that is kind of a misunderstanding, but it has been a long time standing. This was people were fucking raging at
Yeah.
this.
And it's never been brought up again for good reason.
Yeah,
And
and let's
yeah.
keep it that way. So moving on, we're in the Avengers Tower.
Yeah, so this is where we get Tony and Bruce's next kind of go around where they're like, but what if we what if we tried it again though? What if we put the AI
Yeah,
in
it's
this robot?
like we have a bit of an opportunity right now. It's like right here, it's right there.
Yeah,
Maybe we could just give it one more go, and if not, hey, we've got people around us who could stop it. It could be very
yeah.
different. Never learns his lesson. Um,
No, but it
and
does work out okay.
this is where the arguments start, and this is where Pietro, I just want to I just want to punch him in the face
He
when
pulls
they're
all the wires
arguing,
out.
and he runs around, pulls all the wires out, and he's like, "You were saying?" It's like, dude, you are dealing with Tony Stark. Do you think them wires are gonna stop him?
You have no right to walk
No,
into
you
this
don't.
lab and
Get out
start
the
yanking
room.
on wires.
But obviously, you've got Wanda and Pietro who obviously still have an axe to grind with Tony, regardless of
Yeah,
what's just happened and why they are there. You've got Cap, who obviously is it's Cap. He's not going to agree with
he doesn't
what.
like super science. He likes
No, he doesn't. He
super
doesn't.
fighting.
Exactly. And then you've got Bruce, who kind of is like he's just in the middle, like as always, in the middle of things. Hawkeye is just like Barton is just there to keep the
he's
peace.
he's just
Whatever that
standing there.
means, whatever that means, Barton's there to keep the peace.
Yeah, true.
Um, and then all of a sudden, as it's all kicking off, this moment where Thor bursts in, climbs on top of the pod, everyone starts shitting themselves, and
Yeah,
using lighting, he helps to finish what was being started with Helen Chow earlier, and we
yeah,
get the first time we ever see Vision
yeah.
on on our screens,
The birth of a
and
new hero.
birth of a new hero, and the fact that they used Paul Bettany was
Yeah,
the best decision they ever made. That man that man is just amazing.
he's got a face you can trust, and that's what you need for a super powered
When
android.
the moment where he flies out and is just about to hit the window, and he just gracefully puts his hand out and just whew,
And then he like it's as if he
drops.
like sees the like humanity and
And
like
he's just looking
yeah.
outside. It is absolutely, it's breathtaking. Like I say, there's some my favorite shots are in this bit, and some of
Mm.
my favorite dialogue from Ultron from Vision as well. It's first when he turns around and goes, "You think I'm a child of Ultron?
Mm.
Hmm, no." Love
Yeah,
it.
because they do have this like standoff where they're like, what the hell
Well,
are
what the
you?
fuck are you?
And then everyone's like, why does it have Jarvis's voice? And then they're like, we integrated it into the into
Like,
the stone and everything.
mhm. Like
um,
we're gonna use all of us basically.
but like Vision's figuring it out at the same time where he's like the like okay, so is the stone on our side? Like, are you on our side? And he's like,
I don't
I
know.
don't think it's that simple.
I
He like
was
said, yeah, I'm on the side of life, which is very
yeah,
like I like how
exactly,
philosophical he is
exactly.
and dreamy.
It's well, there's no, yeah, there's not at the moment. There's no black or there's no gray area with him. It's
And
just
he's
because
not
he hasn't.
Jarvis, which
No,
is interesting. Not that there's
no, he's
no
not. He's completely his own
yeah,
entity, isn't he?
there's no hints of like his past life.
No,
But yeah,
he,
he's still got some jokes though, because when like Iron Man's like, I get first crack at the big guy because I'm the one he's waiting for. Then
mhm.
he's like walking past in the background. He's like, that's true. He hates you the most.
It's when he says "Let's go" and he picks Mine
Yeah,
and he passes it to Thor, and
yeah,
everyone just stops and gawps and like,
yeah.
what
But
the
then
fuck just
Cap's like
happened there?
3 minutes, get what you need, and we get a suit up scene, which we haven't had
Oh,
for
we
a long
do,
time.
we
A good
do.
old superhero suit up.
And we head to Sokovia where Ultron is at.
Yes.
Now, this bit, I hope it is, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Just before this movie came out, there was hell on over the Superman movie and
Yes.
what happened in Metropolis between Zod and Superman. And the fact
Yes.
that the whole city got fucking annihilated.
It was
And it
yeah,
was
it's like
like,
a
do you
Dragon
not
Ball
think
Z fight.
about life? So it was, I always thought, and I could be wrong, but I always remember it being or it being said that they did the whole exit strategy of Sokovia to get the people out of there before they went in and wrecked it. It was kind of like a FUDC. We care about our people in our cities, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just very much like a Snyder verse type of thing. To
Yeah,
just forget about
just
civilians.
yeah, forget
In
about
a,
the civilians. To forget about the mass
yeah.
destruction of these absolutely beautiful pieces of architecture.
We're gonna have
As
a
long as your superhero fights good, though,
it was a good fight, but it did
it
look like
was.
Dragon Ball Z. It didn't look like Superman.
No, no,
um,
I do get that in a way.
yeah. But yeah, so like this is where we get like Vibranium Ultron, where he rips his own head in
Yeah,
half in front of Black Widow just to scare her.
just like look what I can do. It's like you when you changed into Sonic.
Yeah, it really is. But he is bigger and more shiny, and I guess semi-invincible because
Mm,
he's like made of Cap shield now.
yeah.
um,
And this
so
is
yeah,
they evacuate everyone from Sokovia.
yes,
Um,
yeah.
and Scarlet
It
Witch has her moment.
Yeah, so like you alluded to this before, where Hawkeye gives like a pep talk, and then we get a famous like busting out of the door like superhero scene where she's like, "Meow."
Yeah, it took some saying because he was like, "Well, stay here, and I'll
Yeah,
get
yeah,
someone to come and get you. But if you walk out that door, you are with us. You are
Y-
part of this team,
yeah. But you got to
and
look
you
after
need to
yourself, type of thing. Yeah,
exactly like we're all here. But if you
Mhm.
want to stay, there is no shame in you staying here.
Yeah,
But if you are out there with us, you are out there with us, and we are with you."
yeah,
It was such a beautiful moment. And then obviously she plucks up the courage and just busts up the fucking door. And this is
yeah,
kind of like a starting point of the Scarlet. We call her the Scarlet Witch. She's nowhere near Scarlet Witch at all.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it's just easier than calling her Wanda because I keep forgetting her name.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because she's always seen as like we'll see it soon in like Civil War, but she's used as like
Yeah, I'm just letting
it's
the
all
dog
right.
out.
Yeah, yeah, it's like she's used as like the young one who messes up more than everyone else. And I kind of don't like that for her on the one hand, but on the other hand, I know why. I know the need to do that to kick off like Civil War and stuff. Um, but we get a lot of different shades of Wanda in this, even in this fight. Because later on she gets heartbroken. But yeah, so
Yeah,
we do get a lot of like evacuation scenes, as you were saying, the heroes stop fighting so they can save civilians, which is
Yeah.
nice. We like to see that as comic
Yeah.
fans. Um,
We need
yeah,
to know that we're going to be protected too.
this is the Doomsday like countdown, so I do always have to mention the ticking clock, because there's always one in an action movie. In this one, he is going to turn Sokovia into his own personal meteor, so he can drop it on the Earth. So he rockets the entire city. And the thing is, you have to stop him before he presses the big button in the middle of the city.
Yep.
And when I was writing this down, I was like, hang on a sec, why didn't he make it a remote process where he could just trigger it whenever he wanted?
Isn't he not there? Is he that not advanced yet?
No, he has to press the big button in the middle of the church.
Yeah, my goodness. The moment where he has a hold of Thor, and
Yeah,
Thor's saying, like, giving him all this patter, and then he just is like, and I'm running out of things to say and just
yeah,
distract you. And then we get the Avenger fight scene. The Avenger
yeah,
fight scene of all fight scenes. This is everyone is in here.
yeah. Like all protecting it. Even Hulk's inside the church.
War Machine's there.
Yeah, he shows up to help hostages and
But
stuff. Yeah,
everyone has their moment on screen. Everyone
yeah,
gets to have a little montage like of their fight. What got me is why Cap decided to flip the way he did, but all just to land on his side and just it
yeah.
it looks
He does a
great,
few.
but
Yeah,
there's no lasting impact of that.
yeah. He does a few unnecessary flips. Like he didn't need to throw his motorbike at the jeep, but he
Nobody
did
did.
it.
Nobody did.
um, but yeah, so this is where we get the whole like thing of where Vision and Ultron have a quiet moment at some point where they're like, he's like, "Oh, my Vision, like, they took everything from me."
Oh,
And then
boo-hoo, little man.
Vision locks him out of the internet by sticking his hands in his
Yes.
head, and he's like, "Get out of the internet, you."
Sorry,
um,
Harry's a very slow walker, so it's just going to take a minute for him to get.
it's all
Come
right.
on. No, no, no.
Oh no! I hope Sammy comes back. Oh yeah, it's okay.
I'm
It's not
here.
like a
I'm
horror.
here. I just had to run after him.
I just didn't want it to be like a horror movie where you walked outside.
And just imagine someone else walking in.
But yeah, so we've got our big CGI fight all the robots because Ultron's like got loads of copies of himself, but he's made himself the bigger one.
Yeah.
But the kind of thing is like, if you don't kill all of the Ultron robots, you have not killed Ultron because he'll just build it again.
Well, because
Um,
he's not just evolving, but he's transmitting and transferring, and if
yeah,
you can transfer from one to the other,
and he
and
like
it will just
controls them
continuously
all.
keep going.
Yeah, it's very like the Borg and stuff like that, where it's like they're all like, he's like, I have the one thing the Avengers don't have, and he's like,
Yeah.
unity sort of thing. Um, but yeah, I do love how there's like a moment where, because like this fight moves around a lot. Sometimes they're
Mm.
defending the thing, sometimes on the outside saving people. The heli character shows up to save everyone with Nick
Yeah.
Fury. But there is a moment when like Natasha and Steve are standing there, and she's like, "Well, maybe we don't get off this thing. Like maybe that's not the play." She's like,
Hmm.
"There's worse ways to go." Because he's like, I'm not gonna leave even one civilian on this rock. And she's
No.
like, well, you know, maybe we don't get off the rock. Maybe this is like the end, like the end game play for us.
They use the word
Um,
endgame quite a lot in this
yeah, he does
movie.
say it. Yeah.
Tony says it, Cap
Yeah.
says it, she says it. Yeah.
It's in
Foreshadowing.
it's interesting though that like Natasha's like ready to just explode. Like
Natasha is, it seems like she's always ready just to sacrifice herself in the,
yeah.
but it's like, Natasha, we're kind of going to need you in other
Yeah.
scenarios. Like, stop trying to end it all just to
But
be a hero. That
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 is
isn't
a
what heroism is.
yeah, but that is an ultimate fate, unfortunately, which I don't like that scene either. But we'll get to that when we get to it
Yep.
a little bit down the line. Um, but
Oh,
yeah, but we get like some nice moments where like the teamwork is back. Like
yeah.
everyone's gave up on the petty fighting because like Ultron's like, how you ever hope to stop me, and then like And Iron Man's like, as like the old man said, together. And like Steve gives him this little smile and he's like, oh, he was listening to me.
But yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah. Because
Then
that's it.
Ultron flies a jet around and shoots everybody, including Quicksilver.
Yeah,
Fully
we
shoots
lose.
him dead.
But this been this running thing throughout the entire movie between Hawkeye and Clint and
Quicksilver.
Pietro
Yeah.
that Pietro got him first,
And
and
with the
was
whole
like
didn't
he
see that
didn't see that
coming, did
coming,
you?
and
Yeah.
then Pietro did it. Then Clint did it to him,
Yep.
and then Pietro puts himself in the line of a bullet for Clint, and it's the way I will give Aaron Taylor Johnson this is the whole you didn't see that coming.
Yeah, his death face is quite
It's
it's kind of it's more real than you'd expect because
yeah, it
it's just like
is.
a blank
Like
expression
Aaron,
rather.
I got to stress this point. Aaron Taylor Johnson is not terrible in this movie.
No.
I'm just not a fan of how they've portrayed Quicksilver in this, given that we have had such an amazing one in another,
Yeah.
place. But it's Wanda's face. It's Wanda who feels it, and
Mhm.
this is a break. This could be this could have been the breaking point of her really giving you her full strength of her powers. Trauma
Yeah.
is obviously Harry. Trauma is something that obviously is a huge thing for her
Yeah.
because look at what she did on the back of the Vision.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very X-Men thing to be like, oh,
Hmm.
the trauma unlocks like the next level of
Yeah,
power. Um, and as we know, Scarlet Witch is Omega level, which is like,
Omega.
like a world-ending threat if
Yeah.
she's going bad. Um, but yeah, so this unfortunately does distract Wanda enough to stop defending the button, and
Hmm.
one of the half-broken Ultron robots climbs up there and
And
hits
presses.
it. And yeah, that accelerates the plan because like Tony's been flying around trying to figure out like what do we do? He's like, if we cut this, it's just gonna like drop faster.
Hmm.
He's like, maybe we could like have Thor on one end and I block the reaction, on the other end, and it kind of, does a nuclear thing.
Hmm.
Um, and that's going to blow up the entire city. But what they didn't want to do was have that happen, like, anywhere near ground level. But now that it's fallen, they have to just
Yeah.
do it immediately. It's a pretty spectacular little action piece, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the whole like explode the city,
Yeah.
get everyone
It's
off.
get everyone off and then actually blow it up. It's yeah, it's pretty special.
But like I was saying, that with everything that has been in the news, like the destruction and like the Ukraine stuff really comes to your mind in
Yeah.
moments like this. It hits like way differently.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us wouldn't have seen this much politics, like actual real footage back then. But now since
No.
there's been like TikTok and everything,
Can't get
um,
away from it, unfortunately.
yeah, it makes it real in a way that it didn't seem real
Yeah.
back when I saw it in like 2015. So
Mm,
that
I get
takes
that.
on some new depth and weight.
Hmm.
And it makes the Sokovia Accords make more sense and seem more serious, because I'm like, yeah, this was really fucked up. What happened here?
Yeah, and when we get to Civil War, there's going to be such a not an argument, but such a discussion on the
Mhm.
sort because there is a good point to it, but
Mhm.
also Cap has such a good point as well. So
Yeah,
like,
and I
yeah,
think we know. I think we know, like, if Thunderbolt Ross is telling you it's a good idea to take it with a pinch of
then
salt.
maybe walk away from it. Maybe just
um,
walk away. But
so
yeah,
this
so
is
I
where
was.
we get
Oh,
like a
good.
lot of splitting off here because
Mm-hmm.
Hulk throws Ultron out of the plane that he was trying to escape on, like the
Mm-hmm.
main Ultron body. Um, so that's when Scarlet Witch pulls his heart out, which is like,
Yeah.
like this is what it felt like.
Yeah. Oh, Scott, you do realize you can't feel pain.
Yeah, he does kind of squirm, but I'm not sure if he feels it. And he's got like a weird, like oily heart inside of him, like a
I kind
ball.
of like the design of it with the
Yeah,
nails and everything. I was like, if you're gonna do a robotic heart,
yeah,
that's it. That's the one.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so and then this is like the plane that Hulk's escaping on as well, because he like throws him out, and
Yeah.
then like I was saying
Whoa.
about the facial capture stuff, like
Hmm.
that part where Hulk turns the video off and just
Yeah.
kind of like sits on the ground like a child. I'm like, Oh, like
Oh,
the facial animation, like it's actually like Ruffalo acting. Like
yeah.
he looks genuinely like really sad, and I was like, oh,
He's so lost, and
yeah,
and now he's got a chance to. All he wants. Oh, I think all he's ever wanted to do with it in this whole movie is just go away,
yeah,
just go somewhere because he needs. There's obviously a lot that he needs to figure out, and
yeah. I
being
mean,
around the people who he just. Sometimes I know being around people can be a massive help, and it really is. But there's a very small, very small percent of the time you need to be able to have your own head clear first
yeah,
before you can then start to get help. If
especially
it,
with like anger issues, which Hulk is a manifestation of. Um,
hmm
Arguably like the strongest emotion that gets you in the
yeah,
most trouble. So yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
But yeah, so yeah, he goes away, he leaves. Thor he actually goes back to the Avengers Tower first because he needs to go get
Yeah,
pokey stick. He needs
we'll
to go
have the
get that.
silly we have the silly conversation about like, well, when Vision picked it up, like that's not him actually being worthy, like he's a robot, right? And then they're
I'm
like,
going to miss these conversations.
yeah. And I did like the quick line that's easy to miss where Thor teleports away and he has no respect for lawn care because he leaves the big like
The print.
Yggdrasil thing on
But
the floor.
it's actually Black Widow's line that I love when he's like, "Are you gonna keep staring at that wall, or are you gonna, come and do some work?" And she's like, "Well, I'm sorry. I thought you and Tony were still staring in each other's eyes."
Yeah. Oh, and we do get like a little moment between Vision and Ultron, like a final conversation,
Yeah, we
where they
do.
have like this weird like, like what is the value of human life sort of thing. Like they
And
they see
and
chaos and order as like opposites and try
yeah,
and like
and
stop things from
Ultron being
happening.
confused why their values are very different.
Yeah.
I
He's
love.
unmovable in his like
Mhm.
angry logic.
Yeah, I
But yeah, like
do love the line where Vision says, "But I was only born yesterday."
yeah, because like there's a few good lines because there's Vision saying like where he's like there's grace in their feelings and like
Yeah.
Ultron's like they're doomed and he's like yeah, but a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts.
No,
But then he's just like you're incredibly naive and then that's when he like goes to attack like says he was
it's
born yesterday and then he
there's
goes
so-
to
just
attack
some
him.
there's just some beautiful dialogue between
Yeah.
them two, um, and then we got the end.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say like Vision says like something earlier that we skipped over where he's kind of like I don't want to kill Ultron because he's unique and he's
Hmm
hurting sort of thing.
Yeah, like I want to
But
be able to help him, but then I think it gets to the point where he realizes he can't help
he's
him.
beyond help.
He's
Is
beyond
his
help now.
Ultron?
Yeah, so let's just scrap that one.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but yeah,
we then get to
Avengers
see
Academy.
Avengers Academy, hinted at the new Avengers, which never actually happens. Well, it kind of does because it's obviously leads into Civil War when
It's the
they're
Civil
all
War
together.
team, isn't it? Yeah, like
Yeah, minus War Machine. Um,
yeah,
minus Rhodey. But you can excuse Rhodey. Rhodey actually has a job. Rhodey is you know,
yeah.
he's got military work to do. Um, and then you get the line that doesn't happen.
Not for a long time.
Not for and when it does, means something. Harry, will you stop?
Stop it,
Yeah,
Harry.
Harry's just scratching away at the door. It actually means something. But yeah, you got that really weird shot of Wanda looking waxy and AI and weird.
Yeah,
And
and they've done the thing that they did to Black Widow when she showed up in her second film. They're like, we're gonna curl her hair. Like, why?
they're
Does that
gonna
mean
give her
she's
a middle
happy?
parting and give her a brush. We're gonna brush her hair for her.
Is that how they try and signify that a woman is happy
She's
if
got
she
clean
curls her
hair.
hair?
All's good if she's got clean hair.
It's
Uh,
got a new
she's a
dye
different
job.
person.
um yeah, but she has like a more Scarlet Witchy outfit on, which Elizabeth
The
Olsen
red.
hated though, didn't she? Like she hated
Hmm
how she had to have a cleavage on show and everyone else got like cool superhero
Sorry.
outfits. It's
It's a good
okay.
job. It's a good job. I sit behind the door where they go out.
Yeah, but everyone can see a Thanos t-shirt because he's about to show up as well,
Way.
with his
Yeah,
big glove.
me Infinity Gauntlet one. Um, well, that's it. He's the end credit scene as well, isn't he?
Yeah, the on
Fine. I'll do it myself, which makes no sense. If you want to do this,
Yeah, and in the if you know your comics history, Thanos' quest was before Infinity Gauntlet. He's always wanted to do it himself.
exactly.
He doesn't want other people touching the
He's a,
stones.
what a ridiculous line. When he said it today, I mean, I've heard this line a million times. It's used on TikTok
Yeah.
all the time. But when I heard it today and saw him taking the Infinity Gauntlet, fine, I'll do it. You want to do this?
Like, why wouldn't he? Because, like, when you think about
Also,
it,
no one
yeah,
asked you.
like, why would he want anyone to get a taste of the power? Like, he needs to have all the stones. He can't have like one person who's like, I'm not going to give it back. Like Ronan nearly did.
No, no. Yeah, it's such a ridiculous line, but it's cementing what is being told throughout not throughout it because it is, but the Infinity Stones they're going to mean something.
It
These
might have
gems
been
are going to come into play.
it might have been Feige and the Russos being like, "We'll do it ourselves. Get off it,
Do you know
Whedon."
what? Do you know what? I'll accept that. I'll
Yeah,
accept that it's the Russos and Feige going, we're going to do it ourselves without Joss
yeah. F this
Whedon.
guy and all
Because
of his weird writing.
yeah, because Joss is gone after this, and thank God, thank God.
He
Bye
just
bye.
keeps hanging around like a bad smell over nerddom because whenever anything comes back up, like Buffy or like Avengers, he always gets
But
brought back up.
he's got nothing to do with the whole Buffy reboot, revamp, whatever it is happening with
Yeah.
it. He was pulled into DC um for Justice League. He was certainly pulled straight back out of that because it's when Zack Snyder's daughter died.
Oh
And
yeah, so he
Joss
was.
Whedon was brought
Yeah.
in. But then then Zach managed to bring out his own movie anyway, and you, Joss. Yeah.
When when we run out of Marvel movies, maybe we'll have to do Crisis on Infinite Doomsdays.
See, we can always plan.
It's yeah.
Comics that inspires the movie. You would think it would be Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
It's
but
not.
no. It correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Age of Ultron like an apocalyptic sort of
Yeah.
story where Ultron's taken over the world?
Yeah. It has
Yeah,
nothing to do with that. Ultron really kind of comes into his own in 2013. So if you want to pick anything up on Ultron, if it's something that you're interested in, start at 2013. That's
he's
probably the best starting point.
he's nothing like this character though, because he's
No,
very
no.
much like a big shouty angry robot. Like I was saying, his face is like a cracked smile,
Yeah,
and like all of his text boxes are giant spiky writing because you can just
yeah,
imagine him shouting everything because he's an
yes,
insane killer robot that hates organic life.
exactly. And I'm still going to say it. If you're not already, this is the time. Reading the Infinity Gauntlet.
Mhm.
Start reading it because it won't just help you. It just kind of like it's because it's not the same story. It's not like page for page the same
No.
story as what you are getting there, but it just has them lovely little hints and bits in there. And you can reference it in the movie and that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it has like some of the deaths
yeah.
sort of in that, like the
Also, the
cube thing.
alternative characters that are used as well. Like you don't have Adam Warlock, you don't have Silver Surfer, but you'll
Yeah.
have this person playing this part, and it kind of like it helps you a little bit. Also, if we are leading into Civil War, that's a huge one that
Yeah.
I have read with all the tie-ins,
Me too.
and there's
It's very different from Infinity stuff. Uh,
fucking massive.
but it's cool.
It's a big read, but there is just the initial Civil War books 1 to no 7 is the number that came into my head, and I don't think there's 7 issues. I think it might just be 5, which is
Okay.
essentially what your run would be a 5
Yeah.
run. But it does have the story of Civil War and what happens in there, and yeah, go
Yeah,
and read Civil War.
because we'll be getting there soon.
Yeah,
Um Also weirdly, now that you've mentioned Civil War and Infinity Gauntlet in the same breath, I'm like Wolverine was there in both of those stories and
he
he's not here.
was. He was. There's some honestly in Civil War. There's some great moments for the Punisher, and
Oh
he
yeah.
is very much in the limelight at the moment with Daredevil.
Oh yeah.
Daredevil's there, and Captain Marvel's there. Captain Marvel actually is on the side I would never expect her to be on, but never mind.
We might,
Um,
like these comics are like famous for having like all the characters in. Like we might get there one day because we've unlocked a lot more
yeah,
characters since 2015. We've got our Kingpin, we've got Spider-Man, like we have X-Men technically sort of just about to be allowed back in. Wolverine for sure is back in. We got
Wolverine is
Deadpool.
definitely there.
Like
Deadpool is there.
we're so close to having this Avengers versus X-Men. Everyone's hanging out in the Avengers building
Well,
all together and chatting. We're almost there.
that's what Jackman. Well, that's what Jackman was hinting at back in 2013 was
And
when
it's what we've always wanted.
it is, and do you know what? It's a book I've not read. I've never
Yeah.
read it, so I would be quite interested. I might actually pick it up at some point. I
Oh,
don't know.
what
I
book?
haven't read
Sorry.
any Marvel in a long time.
Which book? Sorry.
X-Men versus the Avengers. Never read it.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. No, I've read it when it was sort of semi-new. It's a
Mm.
pretty good read. Very different though. It's all Phoenix Force related. It's not like grounded at all.
I'm you know, I should be because the alternative style in life that I have should be an X-Men fan. I'm just for some reason never gravitated towards them. Kind of
Yeah,
thought they were a bit overcomplicated.
it's very
Um,
big. Yeah,
give me my basic superhero. Give me my Captain Americas.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Um, but yeah. So, next phase two. We're at the end of phase two. This technically doesn't end it because Ant-Man is apparently the end of phase two.
Yeah, yeah, depend. Yeah, I remember. Well, what's next?
Ant-Man.
Oh, Ant-Man's next. Oh
Oh
my
yeah,
gosh. Okay, so you're
this
in
is
for a
it.
treat.
Yeah, Ant-Man's a really fun singular heist movie. It's
I
just a good time.
I I've made a couple of redactions in my time, and it kind of all starts with this movie where I was like,
Okay.
do you know what? If I'm wrong, I'm gonna because I didn't want this movie because it wasn't Hank Pym. Actually, by the way, Hank Pym created Ultron. Just saying.
Did he?
He did. Yeah, it was Hank Pym. It wasn't Tony Stark.
Oh man.
But yeah, it was like, oh, well, you're not having Hank Pym. Then I'm not interested. Why would I be interested in Scott Lang? He's shit. Bit part character. Don't really care. Then I have wrote a full article for the website that I've worked from, and I actually have a copy of it, which I am happy to take parts out of and read to you of my groveling. I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. This is absolutely brilliant. And this kind of like is for me, cements the Marvel Blueprint origin story and how brilliant they are at doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've also got another redaction. I said Daredevil Born Again wasn't very good. Kind of changed my opinion on that too. So
It's all right. That's the thing with TV shows. Like they don't always put the best foot forward. Some shows have amazing episode
yeah,
ones, other ones it takes two or
but
three to
I'm,
get into it.
I'm also not scared to say when I'm wrong.
Oh yeah. I'm wrong
It
all the
happens quite a
time.
lot in my house. I mean, to be honest, I will. I sometimes do like you know dig my heels in and kind of like I
Yeah.
don't back down kind of thing. But this time I'm like, oh, can it? This is far too good to like. I can't. This is so good. But yeah, this has been Age of Ultron.
Yeah. I don't know if I enjoyed it that much, if I'm honest.
I still like it. This honestly, like I say, the opening scene is one of my favorites. The human
Mhm.
side of it is some of the best that is actually comes out of any superhero movie.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just
but
like a bit messy overall, I
it
think.
has its moments. Maybe Ultron wasn't used to the best of or potential of what he could have been, and the fact that we'll never ever see him again unless somebody else creates him just because shits and giggles. Um,
I would like that if like there was a multiverse thing so we could have
mhm,
another crack at being a baddie.
yeah.
It seems like you would be friends with Doctor Doom, but then not friends with him after the sort of clash of it.
Hopefully, there's a multiverse version of him out there somewhere.
Well, there is. He does show up in What If and gets
Yeah,
like he gets the Infinity Gauntlet powers or something crazy happens. I can't remember, but um, he's a bit more like what the comics you would expect
yeah.
from
I think
Ultron.
it's Ross McCall who does his voice in What If. I think,
Aye,
and he's the one behind Red Skull in
uh-huh.
Infinity War. He's also
He's
in Walking Dead.
He
He's a
knows how to
great
do
voice actor.
impressions of
Yeah,
Marvel
he's
people.
a fantastic voice actor.
Yeah.
But he's also a fantastic actor as well. If you've ever seen him in The Walking Dead, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, fun times.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a week or two with Ant-Man. And like I say, we're slowly dropping the audio episodes on. We'll drip feed those out because they're evergreen, really, apart from sometimes we get new information from current Marvel films. But
And you'd be like, wait a minute, that was such a while ago.
yeah, but like, we're mostly talking about stuff in the time, and like, but
True.
we do obviously know 2025 stuff at least.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, thanks everyone. We're all on Nerdy Up North for other things. We got
Yep.
Sunday podcasts where we talk about movies. Sammy's got Monsters Up North. We got anime clubs. We got Top Grumps ranking weird stuff and talking about horrible Tokyo Gore Police movies
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
We've got the Women of Nerd Culture.
Absolutely.
We've got Rumblecast. We've
Yeah.
got everything that your nerdy heart can desire.
Oh, yep. And we'll be coming out with more comic book stuff. The original nerd culture, some would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's goodbye from me.
Is
And
it what kind of let's fucking go is it? Where
I
are we?
think Ant-Man's a let's fucking go. It's gonna be fun.
Let's fucking go.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. See you nerdy everyone. Bye.